I suppose I don't need to wait for all of this to finalise. It's literally just a 30-second thing. Right, I'll kick us into a new room if I can. Cool. Ready to go?
Yeah, ready. Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. Hello and welcome to episode 340 of the UK Steelers podcast. You're joined once again by me, Mark Hansen, and only one guest, one host beside me today. The return of one Gavin Marshall. How you doing, Gav?
Not too bad. Glad to be back. Thanks for everyone that's filled the room for me while I've not been here. Some great efforts, some great shows. I enjoyed the live show with Sai, and some of the draft discussion has been good. So yeah, it's been good. Glad to be back though.
Yeah, no, glad to have you back, especially as it is just the two of us. But we've got a lot to talk about, at least, with free agency just gone, and we're going to do we are still doing draft coverage today. It's going to be a little bit different. We're looking at the tight ends, but we're going to be kind of blazing through those. We'll obviously have a little talk about those when we get to them and the Steelers' need for them, especially with what's happened this week. But before we carry on with anything, of course, we've got to shout out our show producers this month. As always, if you wish to contribute to the show in any way, please do follow us, patreon.com/UK Steelers podcast. As our show producers have this month, Jason Bowdler, Rob Ferguson, Teenage Mutant Ninja Dave Hart, Glenn Jones, Matt Audley, Steve Williams, Ian Ferrugia, Christian Robb, Thomas Fielding, Joe Pearson, our resident food correspondent Christopher Anderson, Philip Williams, Laura Casey, Michael Coonahan, Paul Fielden, the obscenely handsome Lee Matthews, and the Aussie Storm Galileo West.
Thanks to those wonderful producers.
Good to have the trumpets back.
Trumpets.
As well.
Yeah, I don't know why I've given Sai the trumpets. I don't know why he refuses to use them when I'm not here. So.
Well, I've literally just been left with 3 sounds as well. I'm taking the role of Sai today, and I've been, I've got 3 classics, but I've only been left with those 3. So I haven't even got a Red Star and Sleeper to shoot. So I'm glad you're here.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so going live on YouTube. Going to hope to try that this is the first time we don't get a takedown for a copyright strike. So there may not be any actual video game film, because I think that's what's been killing us. So, but do give us a chance. I think it's an interesting way to watch along. Where you can see the stats and the things we're talking about. So yeah, we're going to give that another go. But yeah, it's not going to be video this time, unfortunately. But we move on. That's the world we live in.
Exactly. Yeah. We've got to adhere to some stuff, I guess. Hey ho. I see a lovely picture of Mike as I just look at the live stream as well. As we roll on here. So obviously it's been free agency week. That has been the big focus of this week, and what a weird week it's been just all around with the NFL, with some high caliber moves and moves back. I'm sure we'll talk about that in a second with relation to some AFC North rivals of ours and some interesting goings on there. But let's focus on the Steelers first and foremost, and I'll just kind of roll through. I've got the list here of all the moves that the Steelers have made, and I'll kind of go back and forth with people who have come in, people who have come out, people who have been retained, and just kind of get your thoughts on them, Gav, and add my thoughts as well. But I think there's only one place to start with all of this, and that is that Michael Pittman has been traded from the Indianapolis Colts to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The 28-year-old wide receiver coming over to the Steelers, inked a 3-year contract extension as well with the Steelers. I haven't got the numbers for that in front of me. I'll get those in a sec. But Gav, I mean, this show has raved about Michael Pittman in the past. How do you feel about Pittman now being a Pitt man in the Steel City?
I mean, incredibly excited. The first draft class we did on this show had Pittman and Justin Jefferson, two players I absolutely loved. Obviously, Jefferson went on to have an amazing career. Actually, he wasn't that highly touted. If you look back at that draft, he was quite buried in that. No one knew he was going to be the elite receiver that he became. But Pittman was a guy that he's just such a catch point dominator in college, such a physical player, just looked like he was going to be a real difference maker in the NFL. Now, has it happened? I don't know. What do you think? I mean, I've got high hopes. I think he can really, really make a difference over the middle, underneath, open up some of the field for DK downfield. Because I don't think he's a downfield threat. I think he's an intermediate threat. And I just hope he's still got the juice to get open. But, I mean, if you look at some of his stats from last season, where is he? Where is he? Here he is. You can see here 95.2 receiving grade, middle, center, intermediate. That's just where he lives. That's where he thrives, and I think that's what the Steelers need. That's exactly what the Steelers need at this area of the field right here. Just past the first down, just in front of the first down line, in the middle of the field. What have we been saying for years about how the Steelers haven't been targeting that? Well, maybe that's because they haven't got the right targets. Let's hope it's been that, and that this new offense, we're going to see more use of more of the field, and Pittman is the first step of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I love every single bit about this move. I think it's fantastic. It's a 3-year, $59 million deal, which I don't think is too terrible at all. To be perfectly honest with you, what's that? $19.5 million a year, roughly. I think that's Jacoby Myers, Jerry Jeudy sort of range for a player like Pittman. I think that's great. I think that's awesome. I think we got it for a late trade swap. We have one less 6th rounder, one more 7th rounder. Absolutely fine by me. I think that's a steal on our side. I've talked to a couple of Colts fans who are a little bit upset by the kind of trade deal that's happened there. So I think we've really benefited from that. And the Colts have locked down Alec Pierce, and I think that's allowed this move to happen. Which it's great for the Colts as well, to lock down a player like Pierce. But this is absolutely what we needed. We needed this sort of player, as you say, intermediate threat. Just a solid wide receiver too that we've been literally for the last couple of years we've been screaming out for. I think Pittman will fall into that role very nicely. I also don't think it completely eliminates the idea of getting a wide receiver high in this draft. Now, first round might be a little bit more debatable now. I felt like it was almost surefire at one point, but I think it now throws up a little bit of intrigue there. But I certainly still think you can add to that within the draft. And who knows of any other moves that we may make? I mean, we talk about a wide receiver coming in here with Michael Pittman. We've also got to acknowledge that Calvin Austin is no longer a Pittsburgh Steeler. He has gone over to the New York Giants on a year-long deal, a kind of prove-it deal. What are your kind of thoughts on Calvin going out of the building? Obviously, his last touchdown with the Steelers being the great touchdown-winning touchdown, I should say, against the Ravens at the end of the year, which was fantastic. But I'm not surprised to see Austin go. But what are your thoughts on it?
It's a shame. It didn't feel like they got the best out of him, really, did it? It feels like a wasted opportunity. But there were some fantastic moments, but it was just a consistency, wasn't it? And it never felt like he was. They gave him a shot as wide receiver 2. Didn't feel like he was really grabbed that opportunity by the horns. Whether that was the scheme or him or Aaron Rodgers, I don't know. But it's a shame because he had so much potential, but I don't think it really moves the needle that much that he's gone, to be honest. I don't think they've lost. I mean, apart from LJ, who's devastated because he was their favourite player because he's so small. But interesting weapon that we could have seen a lot more from.
Yeah, absolutely. He definitely had his moments in Pittsburgh. Some fantastic touchdowns. That punt return touchdown against the Giants springs to mind. That great one against the Chargers, I think that was the last season or the season before. He had his moments, certainly. The snow game against the Browns, where we thought he might have won it with that touchdown. In that one, that was fantastic. But ultimately, it was a case of, had he quite reached where we were hoping he would? No. And, it remains to be seen what happens with Roman Wilson on this team. But I think the writing was a little bit on the wall for Austin. If we had retained him, it would have been a bit of a nice surprise. And, I would have definitely thought it would be an interesting one with him, Pittman and Metcalf all out there. But yeah, as I say, I'm not totally surprised, and I think the Giants are going to get something nice out of him. I mean, there was a whole thing about John Harbaugh really liking him in the draft and wanting to get him, and apparently the Steelers took him before he was able to get him. So John Harbaugh finally gets his man in Calvin Austin, if that's the case. But yeah, all the best will in the world to Calvin Austin. But yeah, I'm happy enough that we've got Michael Pittman there instead.
Yeah.
Gives us
what happened? What happened in the Chargers game? I'm just looking here at the PFF stats. In that game, he's got terrible grades. Can you remember?
I think it wasn't last season. It must have been the season before. It was definitely one where he catches one over the middle and turns nicely and just sprints down for a touchdown.
Sorry. The Chargers game at Chargers, that terrible loss, wasn't it? This season just gone. His grades are terrible. Maybe it was just the whole team was terrible in that game.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering if it was that game or it might have been season before.
Right.
But yes, so that's the receiver moves that have definitely been on, mate.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, what do you think about what they need now? I mean, I think they need a route running, joystick type guy that could get real separation and cause headache. Was Roman Wilson supposed to be that? He's not that, is he? He's kind of we don't really know what he is, but he seems to be playing like a small tough guy kind of role.
Yeah, that's exactly what he seems to be trying to carve out at least. But it still remains to be seen what really his role is. But this is why I'm saying I don't think we can rule out at least a high pick for a wide receiver potentially, whether that's first round or not. We haven't done the receiver group yet, but I know guys like Carnell Tate maybe fill that role quite nicely. But whether he'll probably be going quite high in this draft, maybe out of our reach. But there's talk of guys like Omar Cooper Jr. out of Indiana as well, who could fit that mold. So I think you're right. I think that's definitely the sort of mold that the Steelers need to be looking at, and that's definitely something that we'll be focusing on when we look at those receivers in this draft. But yeah, I think free agency wise, I don't know who's still out there. I don't think there's anybody major out there that's going to move the needle if we do get anybody else in. But certainly interested to see what the approach is. I do think we come away from this draft with a receiver in some form or fashion to replace Austin. But it just depends where that is now.
Do you think that the Steelers were linked to like Boston and Lemon, weren't they? Do you think the Pittman moves stops that kind of receiver being a target?
Potentially. Boston, for sure. I think Boston's draft stock might have dropped a little bit anyway. I do think, as I say, I think it's guys like Tate and potentially Casey Concepcion who can carve out interesting roles that maybe necessarily Pittman and Metcalf don't offer you. That might now get the look in there. Lemon's an interesting one. Again, it's Lemon's a kind of that slot guy that maybe you can fit in there. He could potentially work quite well with these two. But again, it's all a case of once we get our eyes on them and see and have a feel for what we think they are, and let's find out when we see them who we think is going to be the best fit. But it's going to be very intriguing, and I'm sure there's going to be loads of lower round options as well that could be the ideal fit potentially with those two in there.
Just looking at the free agents. Sorry, just reflecting what I'm looking at on the stream. Christian Kirk, would he do a good job there underneath?
We've touted that name a little. I think last season we were touting that name a lot as well. I just don't know if it will be a free agent at this point after making that Pittman move. It feels like
Curtis Samuel.
This team could just go and trade DK away because we can't bear to have two great wide receivers on the team.
Right.
Always feels like that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I just don't know if there's another free agent needle. You say Kirk and maybe, but I'm not enthused by it. I would rather take my chances with somebody in the draft than go free agency again.
There's not many sort of shifty route runners.
No.
Juju. Yeah, you're looking here, they're kind of not the most enticing of free agent pickups left, really.
No, just a lot of people with several different issues that we might not necessarily get the very best out of. Juju would be fun, but I don't think we'd get the very best out of him. So yeah. Let's turn our attention to the running backs then, because there's been a significant change there as well. Kenny Gainwell off to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I was very sad about that one personally. I felt like, team MVP last year. I don't know if we did put an offer out on there, and he just decided that Tampa were putting a better offer out. But it's a shame to let him go, especially after the season he had last year. I thought he could have been a great 1-2 once again with Jalen Warren. But in the kind of loss of Gainwell, we do pick up Rico Dowdle, the former Carolina Panther, who rushed for over 1,000 yards last year, 6 rushing touchdowns as well. Was previously with McCarthy in Dallas. Is a bit of a workhorse back. So what do you make of both the Gainwell exit and the Dowdle entrance for the Steelers?
Absolutely gutted to see Gainwell go. Felt like they could have retained him. And what was it, $7 million or something that he signed for with the Buccaneers?
Yeah, it wasn't much.
Wasn't much.
Really.
Feels like he didn't particularly want to stay. And for the guy that was our best player last year, really disappointed to see him go. Dowdle, some people seem quite high on this move. I'm not sure that I am. What do you think? I wonder if I've been lulled into sort of the start of his career where he kind of felt a bit pedestrian. How explosive was he in Dallas? Because you look at his grades, I mean, they're okay, but the grades don't really tell the story. I mean, what do you think about Dowdle? Because I'm kind of a bit, he just seems a bit pedestrian running back to me.
I liked him last year. I think he really came on last year, and I think it was a bit of a surprise to people that he, with a running back room that had Chuba Hubbard in there, that people thought was going to be the guy. And I think he injured, and then Dowdle really took the reins, and as I say, over 1,000 yards last year, and I think he was quite a threat to this Panthers team ended up being in the playoffs, and I think Dowdle was quite a significant part to that. So. It's a 2-year deal. I don't mind it. I think it's just because Gainwell's gone, and Dowdle's a replacement. I think initially you think you're very uninspired by it, considering how well Gainwell did, and you're just kind of still lamenting that loss. But I do think Dowdle can do a job for us. I think it's fun that the Steelers are the only team now whose 2 starting running backs are both UDFAs. Right. That's a fun little wrinkle, very Steelersy wrinkle, for sure. Here's a question for you: is Caleb Johnson's time with the Steelers about up already?
Surely not. Surely not. They've got to be thinking about working him in.
This is what I was saying. So, I'm all for giving him another year, but I'm seeing people online who are saying that, with Dowdle being the workhorse back that he is, and Mike McCarthy's system might not fit Caleb Johnson the best. Like, there are people who are willing to move on from Johnson already and feel like the team could do that. I'm more than willing to give him another year. I think there is certainly, we saw it when he came out of the draft. There's something there. It's just, he had a bit of a shocker early on and never really quite recovered from it. So, this is just stuff that I'm seeing, and I've had back and forth with a couple of people on Twitter. What's his name? Derek from one of the Steelers media outlets. I can't remember his name, but great draft guy. Derek _DB on Twitter.
Oh, Derek Brown.
Yeah, I think it's Derek Brown, isn't it? Yeah.
Debo. D-Bro, sorry.
D-Bro. Because he was kind of the guy who kind of put it out there that Caleb Johnson could be done already. So, as I say, I'm willing to give him another year, but this, I'm going to be very interested to see what the Steelers do in terms of the draft here. This definitely won't be one that's a high pick, but I wouldn't be surprised if they came out with a lower round running back in this. I think there could be a little bit of RB3 competition there. What do you think?
I'd be surprised. I think they've got to stick with Johnson. You've got to see what he actually has. I mean, it would be a real shame for them to have wasted that pick. I mean, you're saying that they drafted him to run in the Arthur Smith zone scheme, and I mean, you look here on the stats, it does back it up that his zone running much higher than the gap running.
Yeah.
So is that they surely weren't so short sighted to do that, would they? They
Well,
was like the
I
player.
don't. I don't think they were also anticipating Tomlin leaving so soon, and potentially Smith leaving so soon, and there could be changes in that scheme. So yeah, I don't know. I as I say, I would absolutely be willing to give him another chance, and definitely give him another year and see how you can work him best. Particularly if one of these guys, Warren or Dowdle, goes down, you're going to definitely need to rely on him. But yeah, I just would not be shocked if there was a late round pickup in this to kind of compete for that. I know it's a shame because Johnson was a third round pick, was he? Third or fourth round pick last year. Third round, yeah. That would be a great waste of a pick, certainly. But it's just putting the feelers out there of what some people feel. So yeah, time will tell on that one, certainly, and definitely one to keep an eye on. Other moves for the Steelers. Jamel Dean comes in from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as the new corner 2 opposite JPJ. 3 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, 9 pass breakups in 2025. Going to be turning 30 this year. Has signed a 3-year deal, so it's another older head corner. But Dean's numbers look pretty decent last season. What do you think of this move?
I love this move. He's a serious corner, isn't he? I think this is a real upgrade. We've gone from having, jabronis, Artie Burns, and Cody Sensabaugh to having real professional cornerbacks in this team. I think it's a great move.
Yeah, I think it's one that definitely was needed. Certainly, been trying to search for that number 2, and out of the door goes James Pierre to the Vikings, which I can't believe I'm so sad about it. But Pierre came on leaps and bounds last year, and obviously he reunites with Gerald Alexander in Minnesota. But it was sad to see him go. But I agree with you. I really like this Dean pickup.
I mean, so, we got him and Porter, and have we found out about Jalen Ramsey yet?
Wasn't he on a 2-year deal? I think.
Yeah, but that wasn't today. Like the day they needed to make a decision about his contract or something. I saw something about that. Maybe I misread that.
I hadn't seen anything. I just assumed that it definitely was Ramsey staying.
I think it probably is. I mean, they'd be stupid to not. But yeah, just looking at his grades here. I mean, he's been playing since 2019, Dean, and sort of consistent coverage grade that you can't really argue with that. It's sort of 78 to 75, one low in 2023 to 72, green the whole time. So a great guy in coverage. Some good tackling grades there as well. Run defense has kind of been patchy, but been better of late. And overall defensive grades are all good. So from a PFF standpoint, Dean's a good player. I mean, it sort of stacks up with what I've seen. It seems you don't see him getting burnt that often. Whenever I've seen the Bucks play, he seems like a solid caller to me. I was really pleased with the pickup.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. I think you hit the nail on the head with serious corner there. It's been a revolving door of who really as of late. So yeah, I think this will be a nice partnership. 3-year deal. Hopefully he plays through that, and if he's good enough beyond. But do you make anything of him? This is his age 30 season. It's the Steelers going back to the well of elder statesmen of corner. Do you think that? Do you think that affects anything draft wise as well? Do you still think that the Steelers might pick up another a corner? But I would think at some point in this draft, do you think it will be a higher pick, or do you think they'll be satisfied with getting somebody as a depth piece a bit lower down?
I think they're going to target it, don't you? It feels like the kind of noises you're hearing is that they're interviewing a lot of corners, and I think corner's in play.
Yeah, I certainly think corner is in play. I'd heard a lot of that before the Jamel Dean pickup. I don't know if that pickup moves the needle on that at all, but there's definitely been interest. I think corner and safety have both had their interest, draft wise certainly. So. Be interesting to see where they pick up from there. I just wonder how high it would be for a corner if if we do get down that route.
But you talk about the age thing. You know, you need a production line of these guys, don't you? And they don't just come straight in and start playing. So, unless you take them in the first round. So, you know, maybe they get a second or third round corner, groom him, and you know, in a couple of years he's starting. Just looking back at Jamel Dean's spider graph on Mott Draftable, man, he was 92 percentile weight and 98 percentile 40. So he's big, but super fast, ran a 4.3, and 93 percentile vert. So this was when he was coming out. This was an explosive dude.
Absolutely.
So you like that? You hope he's still got that juice going down.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, fingers crossed he does. This talking about the draft again here. The Steelers have had a top 30 visit. The first top 30 visit was with a corner. The magnificently named Ephesians Prysock.
Oh yes,
from Washington. Not a real name. Come on. But he's a 6'3" corner that's kind of projected to go. I think early day 3. I think is his projection at the moment. Potentially a bit later. Definitely one to look out for. And already with a 30 visit for a corner. That's certainly interesting. So. I definitely think it's one that will be tackled in the draft. But as we say, I like this Dean pickup. I think it really solidifies a place, especially considering Pierre's gone. Interesting to see how that one pans out.
I just want to highlight Stephen's wonderful graphic, which is up on the stream and also available on uksteelers.com. All the combine meetings that Stephen tracked. You can see on that it's mainly wide receivers and defensive backs. Including the guy you just mentioned, and not the guy you mentioned. I was getting confused with Concepcion, who I just wanted to say the name of. But including Lemon and Boston, who we were talking about earlier. So they did meet with those dudes, but obviously that was before they got Pittman. So we shall see. Interesting. Man,
we could get a really religious feel to our draft if we take Concepcion and Ephesians Price. If you've got a religious name out there, please do step forward. It's not the only cornerback news as well. Asante Samuel was re-signed as well on a 1-year deal. So that's a nice pickup. I think started 3 games after he joined in November. Showed that he could still go despite the spinal fusion surgery. So. Any thoughts on Samuel coming back?
Yeah. I was kind of not super high when they signed him. Obviously, it's the name value, the son of a former great. But you heard about problems in run defense and toughness, and is he just a kind of speedy, agile guy? Well, I thought he did a good job actually, and I think he's earned the right for another deal. So I'm not against it. But you can see, if you can see here on the stream, if you look back to his previous seasons, you see the tackling grade's pretty bad and the run defense grade's pretty bad. But it seems in Pittsburgh he turned it around, and it was a 73 grade and a 74 grade for those 2 areas. So let's hope that wasn't a blip or a confusion, and not confusion. What am I talking about? A blip or just good luck, and it doesn't settle back down into what he's done the rest of his career. But, who knows? Maybe it was something to do with the injury that he was... I don't know. But if you look at it, I mean, it's 4 years of consistently poor play in that area and then 1 year of good play. So, yet to be seen.
As you say, 100% remains to be seen. I'm interested, but, again, it's just out of the 2 of him and Pierre, definitely would have preferred Pierre back, but, if it's
different
money
players,
reasons as well. Yeah, different players, certainly. But, we'll see how that one pans out. Moving to the offensive line, another unsurprising departure. Isaac Seumalo is now with the Arizona Cardinals. Thought it was funny that the first thing he said about the move was the money was good, and then kind of had to backtrack and say, "Oh no, I'm here to win as well." Blah 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 blah.
Who goes to the Cardinals to win?
Exactly. Yeah, you got it right the first time, Isaac. Get your bag, son. No one's gonna blame you for wanting to do that. So Seumalo out of the door. It was initially reported that Brock Huffman was coming in, but apparently that's not the case. Still don't know what's happening with that, so it could still happen, but certainly hasn't happened as of yet. That guard position is suddenly a bit free, and Our boy,
Oh,
Emmanuel
yes.
Pregnon, maybe in a driver's seat now. Who knows?
I don't know, but
I mean,
it's
him
just
and
it's
him
just a
and
value.
Eli.
It's just a value for him. That's the issue, isn't it? I don't think it's got to be the second round. You can't take a guard in the first round. I don't think.
Well, I mean, Arnie's probably going to go first round by the looks of it. I mean, as much as you say that, I would take Pregnon at 21. I think I would.
I get what you're saying. I think he's worth the pick, but it just from a team building point of view of where the Steelers are right now, is a road grading guard, physical dominating guard, going to tip the Steelers, or is this the situation that we need to get out of thinking like this and we just go for the best player?
I think we just got to not only just go for the best player, but just keep stacking these trenches. Like, I don't think it hurts to do that with a first round pick still, especially if you've got a player of Pregnon's quality. So, yeah, I mean, if obviously the dream scenario would be Pregnon falling remotely towards 53. This is my problem with Jackson Powers Johnson when he didn't go in the first round. It was like, oh, maybe he'll still possibly fall to us in that, but no, the Raiders have just nabbed him. Okay, so yeah, I don't want the same thing to happen with Bregnon, and Lord knows the Raiders would probably do that to me again, and then I'd have to be a Raiders fan with all the players that they have. Yeah. The guard thing is interesting. It could end up being that we take Hoffman. I mean, who's still on the market for guard at this point? Free agency's dried up a lot now, and I don't know other than Hoffman because Jenkins went to the Browns, and I think there's still a couple names out there potentially, but nothing. Yeah, I'm all eyes on what we could potentially do in the draft in that position as well.
Batonio, I mean, he's old and was bad last year, so you don't want to.
Yeah.
All of the Browns guys that are at the top of the list, you probably don't want, right? They were all
exactly.
They've got name value, but let's see here. Mekhi Becton, that experiment. Zeitler's about 100 years old. That's the name that they should really be going for. James Daniels, that makes a ton of sense.
Oh man, James Daniels. I mean, yeah,
28 and a half years. He'd be 29 by the season. That would make sense, wouldn't it? He's got familiarity.
It would. I mean, familiarity with the team certainly, but it's a different room, different O-line coach certainly. So have to kind of factor that in as well. But he knows the facility certainly. That it does make sense. Although, was he hurt again in Miami?
Quite possibly.
Yeah, I just worry about his health, and he'd probably just be a 1 year kind of person as well. So I'm not totally against it, but again, it doesn't set the world alight. Doing that and getting a draft pick might be all right, but yeah.
What happened to Will Hernandez? He was highly touted. Wasn't he highly drafted?
Oh God, I can't remember on that one.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he played for pretty much vet minimum last year. He had some potential at one point. Let me just Google that. I'm just interested in where he went in the draft.
Well, while you Google that, obviously we let go another offensive lineman.
A second round pick, 34th overall. Yeah, he slipped out of the first round. He was meant to go in the first round, 2018.
Oh wow, and then slipped out.
What happened there? Let's have a look. Go on, sorry, what were you saying?
I was going to say Calvin Anderson. I can't remember because this was a bit of an earlier release. I can't remember if this. I think this might have been after last week's episode, so probably the first we're bringing up here. But Calvin Anderson no longer with the Steelers. I do feel like that happened quite a while ago. But certainly a couple of line moves there. And the Steelers did sign Jack Driscoll, who had been on the practice squad. Obviously didn't appear in any games, but he's signed to a 1 year deal, so a little bit of depth there. As I say, I think there's more questions than answers with this O-line group moving forward now, but I think it's an exciting opportunity to fill those gaps with some bright young players.
Okay, another example of why you shouldn't base your roster building on a 2018 draft buzz, because you look at his PFF and it is pretty grim.
Oh my God.
It is pretty grim. So
had a 4.4 pass blocking grade. My God.
That's bad.
That's very bad.
So yeah, we'll forget. We'll move on from Will Hernandez.
Yeah, good luck to Isaac Seumalo at the Arizona Cardinals, where the guards obviously do so well.
What do we think about Suamalu's tenure in Pittsburgh?
It was a roller coaster of sorts, wasn't it? At one point we thought it might be the most shrewd free agency pickup that we've made in years, and he certainly had his bright moments, but he had his down times as well. And ultimately, I just think by the end of it, it wasn't really surprising that he was going to move on. I think we needed a fresh face in there. I don't think he quite did enough. I think he was okay last year. Again, had just his moments of not being super great. But yeah, he had to deal with a bit of uncertainty with Broderick Jones next to him as well. So, it was nice to have a veteran next to Jones, but I don't think it ultimately helped Seumalo in that case. So, yeah, I liked the player and I think he did well overall. But it wasn't somebody I was hammering the table to bring back.
Definitely had good moments. You can see on his run blocking, because I thought of him more as a run blocker than a pass kind of protector. Yeah. Although his pass protection grades for last year were maybe a bit better, but just last season was too inconsistent. You can see here there's some really good performances and then there's some really bad ones, and you saw that on tape. There were some games where he wasn't making a difference, and in fact he was creating gaps, or plugging gaps, for his running back rather than creating them, which was a big problem. Just didn't seem to be moving people. Whether there was an injury there, I don't know. But yeah, I was ready for him to move on by the end of the year, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. But thank you, Isaac, for everything that you did for the Steelers, and again, good luck to him as well moving forward.
Do you think what is going on with Brian? Is Dylan Cook the starting left tackle?
There was some more positive news coming out of Brojo that it might not be as long of an absence, but I mean we've not got long to make a decision on that. So that's going to be really interesting to see what the team does there. The problem with Dylan Cook is the sample size, isn't it? Because what he did show was really encouraging. But all of a sudden he's got a different O-line coach that he has to work with now, and he was a UDFA as well, wasn't he? So it's just, can you rely on him? It's almost the Will Howard conversation, except we've seen a bit of Dylan Cook. Can we trust him as the starter in that position, based off the sample size that we have? I really liked what I saw out of Dylan Cook, and I would love it for him to be there. I certainly would love it if he did take that role. But we have to think, again, is this something that we turn to the draft for? Is suddenly left tackle a big need where we could be
with tackles? You've got to take one early, really, to get a good one.
Oh yeah, exactly. Especially in this class, I think there is a drop off. And as much as I like a couple of the lower end guys, we've already talked to Markel Bell, my sleeper.
Would
but
Markel Bell not be another Broderick Jones on the team? Or is he a bit different? He's big, isn't he? He's just a big lumbering.
He's just massive, but he's also primarily right as well. So, might not be quite right. But, you nailed it there in terms of, we'd have to pick early. But again, O-line pick, I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. I know we keep going back to it, but got to strengthen these trenches wherever we can, especially if someone like Aaron Rodgers is coming back.
But did Cook not do enough to earn not necessarily the starting job, but the placeholder job until we find out what's happening with Jones? Or do you think
placeholder? Yeah, absolutely. I guess it's just how you want to attack it. If they know that Jones isn't going to roll, then you have to have the serious conversations of, what's going to happen. But if they do feel like Jones is going to be okay and, may miss the start of the season a little bit, but maybe come in, about week 5, week 6, I do think Dylan Cook's done enough to, play for a month and, see how it goes from there. Certainly. But as a full-time 17-game starter,
Yeah, but they've got Andreas
still-
Pete as well in a pinch. He was okay, wasn't he, when he came in at tackle? Let's see what's happening at PFF.
He's okay. I don't think, certainly I think Dylan Cook took the spotlight a bit.
Oh, he did. I mean, he won the job, but
I don't think Andrews Pete really did that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you look in there, it's kind of very, very average. But he'd moved from guard to playing tackle there, to help the team out. And last two games were a bit better. All right, minimal snaps in that last game, but I don't know. I feel like you're Andrews Pete as a third string or second string behind Cook, and then Brojo. I don't think that's terrible.
It's not awful, no, but it's just really difficult, isn't it, with Brojo's injury? What until we can ascertain exactly, because there's return dates all over the shop, and as I say, there's been more encouraging news recently, but if that's accurate or not remains to be seen. So yeah,
but I do think they do need to do something at guard as well, because I want Spencer Anderson to stay in his tackle eligible role because he was so good.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think slightly wasted at guard.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think so. And if this new look coaching team thinks the same, then I think they will address these other positions to make the very best for Spencer Anderson. I think that just benefits Anderson as well in terms of he's going to be looking to get an extension potentially at least next year. Remains to be seen, that whole group. But it's definitely one that raises a lot of questions heading into the draft, and there's still a couple of free agents out there, and we'll see if the Hoffman thing does actually come off. But yeah, we'll wait and see on that one. A very surprising one for me. I don't know if this surprised you as much as it did me. Cole Holcomb re-signing on a 2-year deal. So the injury must not be that bad.
Really
I was certainly surprised. Yeah, I was certainly surprised to see him back. I'm just a little bit like, wow, okay, what? It must not be terrible, and they must see something in him that makes them think, 2-year deal as well.
Yeah,
must be thinking, this guy can still roll, and we're willing to give him the chance.
I thought he was washed, right, because he came back and then he kind of lost the job, didn't he, to Harrison as the season went on, and we barely saw him. So I just thought the injury's taken its toll, but maybe it was just another year of rehabbing. Maybe they've got the physical, they've checked it out, because he was kind of a solid linebacker that was kind of good at lots of things, which is what you want. He wasn't just a downhill demon or a coverage backer or a blitz specialist. He was just kind of a solid green dot communicating backer. So as long as he can move, his knees are solid, he's got some burst, I think they could, if they like his brain, I think that's what they want. So maybe it's a case of they've got, the trainers have said, like, it was a 2-year rehab. It was just, it's a serious injury, wasn't it? So maybe this tells us there's more there than what met the eye. Maybe, as the season went on, it wasn't just performance related, but they were like, the reason he's not playing so great is because he's still got a knock there. There's something holding him back,
Yeah. Well, I mean, before the injury, I thought he was playing great as well. I was gutted to see him pick up that injury. I thought he was really rolling before that. So I really hope he can kind of return to that sort of form. And where does that leave Malik Harrison? Because is he a free agent? I can't remember if he's a free agent still or if he had a 2-year deal.
2-year deal, wasn't it?
2-year deal. He was a 2-year deal. Okay. So I mean, could they deal Harrison in some way for 2027 capital?
I don't think
maybe
they want to, do they? I mean, he was fairly cheap, and he offers a different thing. He's that blitz specialist guy.
Maybe I'm wanting that more because this inside linebacker draft group is insane, and we feel like we've got quite a full room at the moment. I was especially thinking if Holcomb was out the door that there could be room to pick up one of these guys, one of these athletic freaks in the inside linebacker class. But the room feels somewhat full there now, and as you say, if Harrison does remain and it isn't dealt, then it'd be interesting to see. It feels like it would just stay there. I mean, there was talk of Patrick Queen potentially getting traded, and there seemed to be some serious discussions about that with Dallas. So that could still happen. Do you reckon that will happen, or do you think that the team will try to keep Queen as?
I don't
as
want
much
it to
as they
happen.
can?
I don't want it to happen at all, because I thought Queen really came on last year. I thought he was starting to show. It's tough. It's a tough position.
It is, yeah.
Linebacker. You've got all the communication and everything, and I think he'd started to bed down. But then obviously a new defense. But yeah, I think it would be crazy to let Queen go. I mean, you look at his PFF; it doesn't look great. Doesn't look great at all. But
He's such a Marmite player, Queen, because I see so many people praising him and so many people slating him in equal measure out of the same game.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
there's so, Sai certainly had his opinions on Queen, and there's other people who laud him for the stuff that he does. Sometimes he can look like he's not interested, but sometimes he's just an absolute menace. And yeah, it's just inconsistency, I think, really, with Queen, isn't it? So, I don't want to see him dealt really either. If nothing else, I think it's a solid group that could do with him being retained. But yeah, there seems to be some serious conversations about it. So it wouldn't surprise me if Queen does go on the move.
What do you think the critics? Because PFF really hate him, right? They don't like him. He's one of those guys that they just really don't. His grades are bad. But I see a player that's trying to stay ahead of what's happening in front of him, and I don't hate his run fits. I think he fills gaps pretty well. He's not the best in coverage, and he's not the most agile, but I think he's a solid, dependable run stuffing linebacker that can communicate and can corral a defense around. Decent green dot guy, physical presence. He's a big, tough guy that is hard to run across. What do you think the major criticisms of Queen is?
Do you think PFF ding linebackers who don't cover well, like, a bit too much? I felt like, particularly looking at Arvell Reese, I'm pretty sure he was kind of dinged for, his coverage isn't great either, but he was pretty dinged for it by PFF, and it kind of reduced his grades somewhat for a player of his caliber. So
The run defense is still pretty poor, according to them. Better than the coverage, but still, there's grades here down in the 30s and 40s.
I do think it's inconsistency, and I do think he shows up for plays a lot of the time, but then doesn't on some plays, and I think he gets knocked for that. And I do think that kind of reflects in some of the grades there potentially. So, I mean, yeah, you look, there's so much red in that, with smatterings of green there. I mean, yeah, that Cincinnati game was good, but like.
I mean, some of the missed tackles percentage is pretty high as well. Maybe it's that.
That could well be. What's that? 20% missed tackle percentage
on the season, but there's some games there where it's 50%, 44%. I mean, that's
it's not great. I mean, this is a team notorious for missed tackles, but I think Queen might have been one of the biggest culprits of it. That's probably what's ultimately dinged him there, and probably why a lot of people why he's such a Marmite player. But as I say, I'm with you. I would keep him and kind of see how it rolls into 2026 with a good group around him. And as I say, I'm just very intrigued as to what Cole Holcomb in particular is going to bring.
If he brings anything, it would be a major surprise, right? I mean, at this point, I thought he was done last year. So
Is it a Otomewu? I think I will pronounce that right. Sounds like I'm preparing for a sneeze.
On a chicken wing there for a second.
Yeah, exactly. Is it a Otomewu? 1 year deal with the Steelers, 12 games last season. I think that's a good depth retainer there. I've got no major issue with that. I don't know if you have.
Yeah, I wasn't that bothered by him. Him and Equali grew on me, I guess. But Otomewu, I didn't really see much of anything from him. I didn't. I just thought he was just a placeholder at edge. What do you think?
Yeah, he didn't set the world alight, but I don't think he was dreadful when he did appear. I don't think he was dreadful to the point of me saying, "Oh, get this guy off my team" or anything like that. I just think he is what he is. He's a depth piece that ultimately harmless, but he's not going to make a major impact. So I like it for a year. It's only a year deal.
I'd rather them
a
find
backup.
some free agents or some UDFAs in the draft and have them on the roster. I didn't see that much upside from him.
Well, they could still compete. You could still do that and have them compete against him.
Sure,
but,
yeah.
I mean, what's the status with Isaiah Loudermilk at the moment? Because isn't he a free agent?
I don't think so. I think he's got another year left, hasn't he?
Oh, has he got another year? I could have sworn somebody said that. Maybe he is still.
I'll have it for you in a second. No, I won't.
Oh, I think he might have been a free agent last year, and they brought him
re-upped
back. Yeah. So,
why can't I find him?
Because I genuinely thought he was a free agent because I thought he was still out there, and we were wondering what's going to happen with him. But if he's still there as well, then there's still good depth in this defensive tackle group that could well see a pickup in the draft as well, and may still.
Well, there's plenty of dudes that can replace him in the draft later on, like Graves, right? And
Yeah,
and stuff. He's a very replaceable. You're right. He's a free agent in 26.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, he's we've not heard a thing about him at the moment. So we'll see what happens there.
But he's the kind of player that most no 4-3 teams can touch with a barge pole. So there's very few teams. He's not a known player at all, is he? And he's quite useful for the Steelers. Unless they get an upgrade, why would you take away one of your sort of run focused sync kind of DN 3-4 DNs when they can come in and do a job? You need base 3-4. So that's why.
Well, his biggest calling card is he's absolutely friggin' massive. Well, yeah. So that could still entice somebody. But yeah, no, I totally see your point in terms of schematics. But we'll see what happens with Loudermilk. But that defensive line group, we haven't really, other than potentially Loudermilk, seem to have retained it quite well. And Cam's now signed another extension, another 1-year extension. So he's got a couple of years left still on his contract. Did you think anything to the numbers? It didn't seem. Dave Bryant of Steelers Depot did a really good article to show how it's not actually that much of an increase in the grand scheme of things. It kind of works out for both the Steelers and for Cam Hayward. I wasn't particularly perturbed by the numbers of his extension. I don't know if you thought anything of it.
I wasn't. The main thing about it was that I was really enjoying Ketz's reaction. That's what. Just because every move the Steelers make, he sees through this kind of like cash, turnaround, rebuild lens. So every time every one of these older players is extended, he kind of blows his top about it. Which
this is Ketz's. This is his route to being Steelers GM, because he's going to become Omar Khan's accountant, and that's the route to get the GM job in Pittsburgh. So
it's to be ruthless.
He's playing the long game.
Super, super ruthless.
Oh man, yeah.
I mean, yeah. So it's a 13. I'd love to know what the Dave Bryant get out was. He's 37 years of age. Still playing great football last year. Definitely don't want him gone. I'm not saying that at all. But 13.6 million against the cap. I mean, that's just a kind of hero's bonus, isn't it? But next year they've got a potential out. It's a 1-year deal essentially, right? They can get out with 7.4 million against the cap next year to avoid that 23 million cap hit. So I imagine that's what they'll do. They'll probably, if the play's great, they'll restructure again. If it's not so good, thank you very much for your service, and off you go. So I don't think it's terrible. 13.6, he's earned that.
Absolutely, he's earned that, and the play is still great. He was an All-Pro last year. Like, as long as it's still great, absolutely do not mind paying the man. He just seems to almost be getting better with age, it feels. So we'll talk about his brother shortly, because I kind of want that as a nice lead into what we're going to talk about the next part of the show. But I'm glad that Cam's got a little bit. It mainly means that we're not going to have an off season of Cam being vague and mysterious, and is he going to be holding out of anything and whatnot, and at least we could get to avoid that this off season, which was a bit annoying last year. So we could just focus on football with him there.
The structure of his contract, they gave him 1.3 million base salary, and then 12.3 million signing bonus. Was that just the carrot on the stick, like that we give you the 12 million today, and then you will earn? Obviously, their base salary is spread out over the season, right? And then, so it's almost like
I'd love someone to dangle a carrot in front of me that was 12 million like
do you
today.
think that's what it was? They just just sign this deal. Don't read the small print. Don't read about what happens in 2027. don't look at that. Just take this 12 million now, and this offer expires in 20 minutes. So just go and have a think about it. Do you reckon that's what they did?
If somebody just offered me £12 million dollars today, it'd be that bit in Love Actually where she turns around the corner and just goes around the corner, just trying to play it cool. But obviously, I'm not a defensive lineman in the NFL. But yeah, good for Cam, and glad to see him for as long as he can keep going. The only other kind of news that kind of talked about all the guys that went. Jaquan Brisker actually is not on this list, and that's the most recent one. Safety from Chicago has now come to the Steelers. Former Penn State guy reuniting with JPJ. Brisker's an interesting one because when he is healthy, the play is pretty good. But I've, Mike said it in the chat. His best friend saying that he's one concussion away from potentially retiring. And my mate is a Bears fan, said he loved the player when he's healthy, and it's a big when. So yeah, it's an interesting one bringing Brisker in, considering those issues. But I think the player himself is a really interesting pickup. I don't know what you think.
I mean, I loved him as a draft prospect, and he's definitely had some great moments, right? And you can see that he's a violent hitter, and that's led to him having these concussion issues. So
yeah.
I think he's versatile. I think you could play him, in the slot. You can blitz him a bit.
I think that's good as well. That versatility, because a lot of people have been saying he's quite a similar player to Deshaun Elliott. But if you've got versatility on your side, then you can work around that, no problem.
Yeah, I mean, you look at here on the PFF. He's got 500 snaps at free safety, 421 in the box, 164 at D line. 103 at slot corner. 84, that's blocking field goals. So he's going to contribute on special teams as well. So I like Brisker. I think it's a good move. It's just the injury concerns. But if it wasn't for the injury concerns, I don't think the Steelers would have got him. I think his play when he's playing well is a kind of play of a player that you would lock up and keep. So this is an opportunity here for him to. He's a guy that needs to play with one of those stupid mushroom helmets, right?
yeah, I like those helmets. I don't think they're stupid. The Romeo Dobbs helmet, as it is, kind of referred to. It was Peppers for the Steelers, wasn't it, last year? Who was playing with that helmet? Yeah, I think there's always like one. Is he not? Was he a 2-year or 1-year deal? I thought he was a 2-year, but I could be wrong. Because again, I've seen nothing about him.
Yeah, he's in green. Does that mean he's a free agent? Hang on.
Oh, he could be. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he still is. He's not
unrestricted free agent. Yeah, so he's still technically on the roster. Now, we were quite excited when he signed, but in the end, didn't do that much, did he?
No. So I'm not massively. As I say, I didn't even know what his status was, so I wasn't. Either way, I wasn't going to be moved by what happened with Peppers. But so the Brisker pickup's very nice. If he can stay healthy, I think that's going to really benefit that safety room that could, again, still be added to in the draft that is apparently full of great safeties.
We've got Savage as well, don't forget.
Yeah. Oh, yes, of course. Yeah, I forgot about that. Another pickup that's not on here. I'm guessing this might be a slightly older list. Although it's got the Calvin Austin move on there. Maybe it's not picked it all up. Darnell Savage, isn't it? Yes. Pick up former Green Bay Packer. It was first round, wasn't he, Darnell Savage?
He was, yeah.
Yeah, blimey.
Very much a free safety. Looking at his compared to Brisker, all of his snaps were at free safety. Let's have a look at his grades here. Ooh.
Yeah, again,
Good
it's
tackling.
just
Nice tackling grades.
yeah, I think he's. Yeah, again, it's an interesting depth piece that could well see the field at times, but especially considering what the health of Briscoe and even Elliott at this point might be. But yeah, again, it's just a nice move for somebody that Mike McCarthy's got history with.
Has he?
Obviously,
Did they actually cross paths?
2019 was that when
When did Mick? I did it.
Oh,
Mike,
you did it! You did it.
we did a drinking game. Mike McCarthy. When did he leave?
He went to Dallas in 2020, didn't he? I think. I believe. Could be wrong on that.
2018. He was out of football in 2019. He missed him by a year.
Oh, of course he did. Yeah. Oh, maybe maybe he doesn't have the history then.
But presumably had some connection still with the team. And
Yeah,
would have been
exactly.
watching the
Yeah.
team, knows all about it.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah. But again, yeah, nice little interesting little pickup on the back end there. Obviously, going out of the safety room, and most importantly, going out of the special teams room, Miles Killebrew joining Danny Smith in Tampa Bay. Our special teams captain gone. Be interesting to see who picks up that mantle going forward. But yeah, I again, Killebrew was one. I thought he might stick around if they thought that he could do a job still on the on special teams for this team, but I'm guessing Danny Smith was kind of eager to get him in, and I guess the team just wasn't as eager to keep Killebrew on, especially after his injury last year.
no defensive snaps in 2025.
No, I think he missed some time, and I think before he did, there was a relatively healthy secondary out there, so I don't think he really got a chance.
And you're looking here, the special teams grade was great in 23, dropped off a little bit in 24, 25. Obviously the injury.
Yeah,
But,
was he a pro bowler in 23? I'm sure he was a special teams. Yeah,
that first year he came in 2021, great grade. Then it dropped down, and then it was patchy. A good cat, and made some great moments. But kind of where does he slot into the all-time greats of? Is he higher up or lower down than Dirty Red? In our hearts.
It's special teams. Definitely a guy that's going to be in a conversation when you talk about Pittsburgh special teams over the years, because I think he really, really did make a significant impact there. But yeah, as an overall,
big plays
again,
in big moments, I think, which
absolutely,
which is what special teams is about, right?
Yeah.
And
100%.
You remember him sort of firing people up and kind of a good hype man to have around.
Yeah, I think he made a good captain, certainly for that group. So,
but
who do you think will be?
Like Ross Ventrone, someone like that was just solid, similar sort of guy, but just solid. Without the highlight plays. Well, I don't know what you value higher.
No. Who do you think will be the special teams captain moving forward? Carson Bruner, or is that too early for him? Or could it be Scobro?
Yeah, Scobro for me. I mean, he's an absolute demon.
I love. I don't know if you heard Aaron Rodgers talk about Scobro. Mentioned him quite often in the McAfee interview he did the other week. But just a hell of a character. Maybe not captain material, considering some of the
oh, really?
kind of.
What have you heard?
Well, no, just he kind of just says really random stuff, and he's just a fun guy all the time. Maybe that's not. Maybe you need a bit of seriousness, and maybe he does bring a bit of seriousness as well. But it just seems like a bit of a funny dude, and just an entertaining presence on the team that just talks a lot of crap apparently.
Okay.
But Rogers loves him. I absolutely loves him. But yeah, I mean, if that's just a off-field thing, and he actually, we certainly see how great he can be on the field. So I'd love him to be special teams captain for sure. I think he might be the early favourite, certainly.
He scored the first touchdown of last season, didn't he?
He did, yes. He was Aaron Rodgers' first passing touchdown as a Steeler. Wow. God, that's a trivia question in future.
Yeah.
My God.
I mean, it's just the blocking. You just love the aggression that he goes around. He just wants to make a hit on every special teams play, doesn't he?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
You've got to wonder what people like that would be doing in life if they weren't playing football. Just fighting in bars, or I don't know. What do you know?
Be in prison, probably. I mean, some of them do both, but yeah, hopefully Scobro doesn't do that. Speaking of people who scored in that Jets game, first game of the season, we did already touch on the fact that Jonnu Smith is now out of the room, and I think this kind of ties nicely. We'll talk a little bit about other free agents as well, but we're going to be talking about tight ends in a bit. A couple of weeks ago, we'd be heading into this tight end conversation thinking, oh, well, maybe we don't really need to kind of look too deep into it. Maybe, we got 4 on the roster. We'll see what happens. And then Jonnu Smith goes and you think, okay, well, maybe you need to kind of pick up somebody and, it could be a UDFA that kind of gets a chance. Maybe JJ Galbraith can still get a chance in there. And then Connor Hayward goes to the Raiders in a move that solidifies, along with Calvin Austin moving, solidifies that the entire 2022 draft class is no longer with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Wow, first and foremost. Just with Hayward gone now, it's only Freiermuth and Mount Washington on the team, along with kind of the guys that are in practice squad. But it makes the tight end conversation we're going to have in a bit more interesting. But were you surprised by the Connor Hayward move, or did you feel like it was a guy?
I only thought he was in football because of his brother. That's tough. I like his versatility. I like it, the fact that he could do so many things. But I don't know. How much did they pay him? What did you see the deal? Let's have a look.
I can find that out for you. Certainly,
I'll find it out.
Oh, you find out? Yep.
So I guess that's what it comes down to. The Raiders maybe feel like they can use him. I don't know.
Yeah.
What is he? Is he a tight end? Is he a fullback?
Yeah, he's this weird hybrid, isn't he? I think, he's just a bit of a Swiss Army knife, and I think the new contingent at Vegas will find a way to use him. I'm sure Mendoza will find a way to find him in spots. But
2 years, $5.5 million.
Yeah, I'm not
guaranteed. I mean, it's nothing, right? And does this show that this is kind of a culture change? And it's like, let's get rid of all this, because we've always had these brothers and this football is family thing. Is this just no? You've forget that. You've just got to.
Well, we're a team who got an F in family in the player. Player surveys.
But there's always been the Watts and this thing going on.
Yeah, I think there's probably there's starting to be a drop in that. I think there's going to be less. Probably moving forward, less focus on that. You would imagine. I think Tomlin was very much about that. I don't know if McCarthy will be. We might just be getting guys who are closer to home. Might just be focusing on a lot of Pitt and Pennsylvania guys. We'll see. I wasn't supremely shocked to see him go. It's just he had some nice moments, and I hope he's able to carve some sort of role out in him, because I do think as a football player, just generally as a football player, I think he can provide a decent amount for you. But you've just got to kind of know what he is and use him to the best of his ability, and I don't think we always did that.
Yeah, it's difficult to find a role for a player like that. I mean, what do you do? I think actually they did find the role, which was the tush push guy, the trick play guy, red zone, and a bit of special teams. I think that's his ceiling. I don't think he's ever going to get more of a role than that. Do you? I mean,
no. I mean, he's going to be out of tush push duties, because if you think Mendoza's going to give that up in the NFL, no chance. Maybe that was ultimately his role, and I guess maybe it's just not as valued with the new contingent in Pittsburgh. Yeah. Obviously, that's pretty much all the Steelers' moves, I believe. I don't think there was anybody else that we've missed on there.
Cameron Johnson.
Oh, yes, of course. The punter battle that we have now between Johnson and Waitman. Were you surprised by that?
A little bit surprised. I thought he'd lost, but then what do we think of Corliss Waitman's the performance last year? Did he?
Well, he was up and down last year
Yeah.
as well. Like I think that his performance dropped off a little bit at times. There were some nice moments, but yeah, certainly dropped off at some point. But yeah, that's an interesting one, bringing Johnson back like that.
More of a directional punter rather than the kind of big booming leg.
Yeah, I guess as well. It's a regime change, so maybe somebody who was still within the building thought, yeah, actually, you know what, I quite liked him. Let's bring him back. So,
According to PFF, last year was Waitman's best season. He's had 3 years of meaningful punts. I don't know. I don't mind Waitman, but you don't feel like he's got a big leg and he can flip a field, but you don't feel like he's a real weapon, do you? That, here comes Waitman to pin him back within the 10 kind of thing.
No, I think I think with Waitman, we had a problem at punter before, and he kind of came in and solidified it a little bit. And I think Johnston did a little bit the same, after the PH3 disaster. So I think you're always going to kind of look.
Named. We don't mention that.
Exactly, yeah. Let's not look at thicker punters, shall we? But yeah, I think you're always going to have a bit of a shining light on you in that respect. If you're following somebody like that, but I think they held. I think Waitman held his own, certainly, and yeah, as I say, it's just going to be a very interesting battle once again between those two that we thought was over, but has apparently just begun.
Johnston's punting grades aren't much better, so maybe it's just a battle of mid punters. I definitely think it's a case of leg over accuracy and what your special teams coordinator wants to work with.
Callum said in the Facebook group that the punting class this year is apparently very good, the best since the Erasure draft. So might have to look into that because I've not really paid much attention to the special teamers, obviously, but outside of Florida's Trey Smack with the best name for a kicker there is. But yeah, apparently this punting class is supposed to be quite good.
So I'll be jazzed on draft day if they take a punter on day 3.
Yeah, well, we've been burnt by that before, so let's I'd be less jazzed knowing that we've just paid a punter as well.
True.
Yeah, maybe a UDFA. But yeah, so yeah, now that we've actually put a bow on the Steelers moves elsewhere. I mean, the big story, of course, was what happened between Max Crosby and the Baltimore Ravens. Going over to the Ravens, Raiders make all these signings, including Tyler Linderbaum, who goes over from the Ravens to the Raiders, and then suddenly the trade's off, physical not passed, and suddenly now Max Crosby's still a Raider, and the Ravens then go ahead and get Trey Hendrickson instead. And I mean, optically, it looks awful. You've heard what the Ravens have said about it, and apparently there was talk they were trying to get Hendrickson and Crosby, which would have been wild. But what's your kind of view on everything that's happened with it?
I don't believe this is. No one's really thinking this is some kind of conspiracy, are they?
I don't know. I think people are.
Really?
I'm not me necessarily. I do think it's a tiny little bit overblown conspiracy-wise, but I do think there is a little bit of... It does leave a tiny little bit of a bad taste in the mouth.
I mean, no one likes to see it, but you've got a right to back out buyer beware if you have a dodgy physical, right? I mean...
Yeah. The thing is, they did make it clear, the Raiders... they definitely made it clear that he had medical issues. So you would have thought that the Ravens might have done their homework a little bit more on that. But at the same time, if you know that as the Raiders and you know that he's still got to do this physical, do you go out then and just pay the world for this, that, and the other, knowing that it could potentially blow up in your face? I think there's a couple of sides to it, certainly. I'm not as conspiracy filled. Maybe initially I was, but I think that's just my disliking of the Ravens. I'm not. I'm not full blown conspiracy about it. It's just with the optics of getting Trey Hendrickson very quickly after. that doesn't look great. And you can say for the world that you wanted to try and get both players, but that still seems a tiny little bit fishy to me.
I mean, according to they've still got loads of cash though, 34 million still in cash.
Well, that's the thing. The Raiders still got loads because they had the most cap coming into this whole thing.
Risk of not having enough, right? That was the whole thing.
Yeah, I think it's just keeping Crosby. Then kind of, I think the biggest thing with keeping Crosby was if you did still want to trade him, now is his trade value going to go down?
Well, yeah, he's tanked his trade value. He's a tarnished asset, and hope I was saying to you guys, what would it take for the Steelers to trade for him? Because imagine that TJ Watt and a bunch of later round picks, I'd take it, depending on what the injury is.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, if it was enough for Baltimore to bulk at it. Yeah, would you? Well,
that's
necessarily...
because of two first round picks, right? And if you've sent 2 first round picks and your guy's not playing or whatever, or he's in and out of playing, that's a major.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's just cash and late round picks, not so bad. Because they'd have to, whoever trades for him is going to have to pick up his contract, right? He's not going to sign a new deal. He's on.
Exactly.
Look at the deal he's on. 30 million base salary, upcoming 29 million. You can't cut him for 2 years.
No, jeez.
So.
No. Yeah. It was just at the time it was just absolutely wild. I think it's all calmed down a little bit now, but as it happened, it was just Ravens fans were despondent, and then suddenly they get Hendrickson, and then all eyes are on Baltimore, and there's still some people who are a bit bitter about it and feel like the Ravens should be punished in some way. I don't necessarily think that myself, but yeah, it was just a wild thing to happen. It's not something especially on the scale of the player, it's not something that I've seen before.
I've got to be honest, I'm more scared of a Max Crosby-led Raven pass rush than a Trey Hendrickson.
Oh, so am I. Yeah, I do think ultimately, Hendrickson's a second choice. They might not say that he was, but I do think he was, and he's a second choice for a reason because Max Crosby is that impactful. And when the trade first was announced, I was terrified. I was like, "Oh
too.
No,
awful!" I mean, it's just like stuff of nightmares, isn't it? That like tattooed nutcase white man coming off the edge at you twice a year. I didn't want to see it. I don't need it.
Yeah, I thought Joe Burrow was going to request a trade there and then. He wasn't going to stick around for that. Let alone whoever the hell we have. Poor old Aaron Rodgers having to go up against Crosby. But I don't believe we play the Raiders this year, so we can avoid that. Apologies if you can hear my cat as well in the background.
Right,
but yeah, he's obviously got a lot to say about Max Crosby. Let's kind of I don't know how many of these other moves have kind of tickled your pickle, to speak.
What about the Cleveland Browns? I'm interested in what they've done. Oh, wait, nothing.
I mean, the Bengals have done very little as well.
At least they've made some moves, right? But the Browns have done what they've done. They franchise tag retained Higgins, which I guess is a big move for them.
They just needed to replenish the O-line, didn't they? And I think they've done a fair bit of that.
Yeah. Maybe they've made
Jenkins.
some more moves. It was when I checked in the other day, they'd done 0.
Yeah, I think they've got Jenkins, didn't they, from the Packers? He was a free agent signing I was quite interested in, but never really. It didn't happen for us, and obviously, the Browns benefit from that. So I think they have made some moves since possibly you last checked, but you look at the other things. So I mean, we talk about quarterbacks. Malik Willis obviously going to the Dolphins, which I think was
Zion Johnson, the guard they brought in, right?
Yes, that was it. Yeah, I knew there was other moves they made on the line, especially
Titus Howard. Oh yeah, it's a load of mid kind of linemen.
Yeah,
and then Quincy Williams on the defense, but basically nothing. I enjoy that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they will not. I am still a little bit worried about their most recent draft class, but
I guess
otherwise
they've
I'm
got
not.
that rookie class. Yeah, but who's playing quarterback? Shador, Deshaun Watson, or Gillen?
Oh yeah,
Gillen Dabril.
Yeah, Gillen Dabril. So I think it was DJ who was saying that it could be Watson. Like starting next year, which would just be.
I'll be honest.
Oh my god, yeah. Arch Manning, you were a Cleveland Brown. Malik Willis went to the Dolphins, which I think we were expecting. I don't think he was ever on the Steelers' radar, was he? I never really had my hopes up
No,
for
I
that.
wouldn't have thought so. And ultimately untested. I mean, yeah, he had some nice moments, but the body of work's so small. But I think it's exciting for them, and they've got a tough, physical running quarterback, very different from what they've had with Tua.
Yeah.
So I think it's exciting off-season for Dolphins fans.
Yeah, I think they've made some interesting moves, and obviously Tua then goes to the Falcons. That's been made official today. So that, other than the left-handed thing, does that make a ton of sense? I guess that's a key factor in it.
I mean, I thought Penix made more sense for them, but Penix hasn't.
Well, is it the whole thing of is Penix going to start the season? I think is he still not banged up enough?
Right. Only because you look at their receivers, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. You kind of think of them of boxing people out, downfield, boundary kind of receivers. That's not Tua. That's not Tua's game at all. Tua's to thread the needle, dink and dunk guy. Maybe.
Well, yeah, I think that's the whole thing of Other than the left-handedness of it all, is it actually that that shrewd of a move? I don't really think it is.
Maybe I tell you who gets a massive spike is Robinson, because he's pretty good in the pass game. So I think there'll be lots of dump offs and check downs to Robinson. So he's probably going to do quite well for me in fantasy this year. Yeah,
definitely pick up Bijan where you can in your redrafts if you haven't got them already. In your dynasty, the Chiefs got Kenneth Walker, which
it's the best running back they've had since who? I mean, Priest Holmes. Who's their best?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
what good running backs have the Chiefs had? I mean, they've tried.
I mean, Pacheco was good for a bit.
I mean, he's okay
for a little bit.
He's not a Super Bowl winning electric guy like Kenneth Walker is.
Didn't say Pacheco won a Super Bowl, didn't
he? No, but
he's not. He's not an MVP. He's not. He's not a Super Bowl MVP.
Actually, win the Super Bowl for them.
No, exactly. No, and I guess this. I was surprised the Seahawks didn't retain him, but I guess money talks, and what the Seahawks got there now? Like, have they picked up anybody running back wise? I mean, Charbonnet was injured. So yeah, I don't know what the Seahawks are doing there. I don't know. I don't think they've picked anybody up. I'm not entirely sure, but that's a dangerous move. I think I'm a bit worried about. I know the Chiefs will be without Mahomes for a little bit, but that still worries me a touch.
Thanks to ChatGPT, Jamal Charles, of course. Yeah, what an amazing running back he was. But yeah, since Jamal Charles, I mean, yeah, the list is Jamal Charles, Priest Holmes, Christian Okoye, the Nigerian Nightmare, Larry Johnson, maybe. And then you're into like Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, I was going to say Kareem Hunt, but no, not to the same extent. So
Jamal Charles was the Hall of Fame level quarterback, so running back. So when did he retire? 20. Come up. 20.
I do not know.
2018, I'm going to guess. 2018, there we go. Let's find out. The answer is... 2018. Boom.
2018. Oh, look at that. Nailed it.
Yeah. A bad season. Yeah, 2016. There you go. 2016 is last year with the Chiefs. 2018 with the Jaguars. Yeah. Okay. Great player. So yeah, they haven't had almost a decade. They haven't had a good running back.
And now they do. Now they have Kenneth Walker, and we're all terrified. Although I was worried that the Chiefs might get Jeremiah Love in the draft, so at least that might make that a lot less. Well, yeah, this is the thing. I mean, the Commanders have just picked up Rachaad White, but I still don't think that stops them. I think that's the stop point for Love. I don't think he goes beyond the Commanders at 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be stunned if the Commanders passed on him, to be honest, even with the Rachaad White pickup. I mean, they do have Krosky Merritt still, but I still think a player of Love's caliber.
Who's the most running back needy team that could move up that's close?
God, who is the most running back needy team?
I know.
Chase Brown
I
and
know they've got Chase Brown, but
Taj Brooks is. I still
no, I
think
don't think
could
he's
be
the
a
franchise running back.
not
A
no,
guy
but
that's going to
that
push you
I
over the
don't
edge
think the
somewhere.
Bengals would move up for that. I think they've got other needs. I mean, I know they've added a little bit on the defense, but I still think they're going to be. I still wouldn't put it past them either that or the offensive line that they desperately need to add to.
The Rams.
Oh no! Please God, don't put him on the Rams.
Imagine that.
No, we
That
can't
could be
have
the
that.
missing piece.
Oh no! Stop making the Rams even better. They've already acquired two Chiefs quarterbacks. The massive Trent McDuffie deal, which is one of the biggest ones of the whole lot. Like, oh man, can't stop making the Rams better. Looks like they're going to cakewalk it at this point. I think they've got to be the favourites, haven't they? This early on.
The Commanders just picked up Rashad Wright. Did you say that? I mean, I think that's a good pick.
Yes, yeah. It's a good pickup, but I still don't think it stops them from getting Jeremiah Love. Certainly. The Ravens. You look at the Ravens outside of what they've done with this whole Crosby and getting Hendrickson thing. They've lost a few key pieces. Isaiah Likely goes to the Giants, as does Jordan Stout, which is probably one of the best punters in the league. Goes over to New York. So they lose Pat Ricard. He's gone now.
Yeah, part of their identity.
It feels like the Harbors are just rinsing the Ravens guys, and nobody's picking up Daniel Falale, which is hilarious. Please stay on the Ravens.
Should the Steelers take him just as a?
No, God no! Don't even put that into the atmosphere. Good Lord, no.
Is he worse than Bojo?
Yes, Daniel Falale is awful, an absolutely awful player. I don't know how he still keeps getting reps.
You look at their receiver core, man. I mean, it's significantly worse than the Steelers, I'd say.
They've got the 14th pick, I think. Ravens fans seem annoyed if you pick a wide receiver at that point, but man, you could almost take your pick.
Maybe because they don't pass the ball. Maybe that's why.
Well, yeah, exactly. Lamar's supposed to be this better passer, but who knows? Kyler Murray going to the Vikings is kind of obviously the other key one. I was almost entertained. Well, no, I kind of was in fact entertaining the idea of Kyler coming to Pittsburgh, but yeah, I think the Vikings makes a bit more sense.
I'd be more interested in trading for McCarthy.
Would you?
Yeah. Because what would it cost?
It wouldn't cost a lot,
No.
but man, that would be a. Is he? I don't want to say he's washed because he's not had a massive rub of it, but it was bad at times last year, and I think this is why Kyler Murray's come in here.
Yeah, but look at Sam Darnold. I mean, this is the whole thing, right?
Developing quarterbacks is a big thing, and I think we're going to see less and less, junior quarterbacks coming out in college. Not only because of NIL, I think that's a safety blanket, but give them time to develop. Just develop these guys as much as you can before they're thrown into these opportunities.
Are the Vikings a sneaky team to take a running back? Are they too low? They're too low, aren't they?
Well, they've really done Aaron Jones.
He's old.
Which,
he
is old, yeah, certainly. I think they're too low to get Love. Again, the running back class is one we need to look at, and it could potentially be next week's show. But I think there's some decent options around the draft. It's not the greatest group, but I don't think it's terrible, where you could probably stand to get lower and not be too bad. I think just Love's a bit of a golden goose in this class. So
how did Jordan Mason do after he moved last year?
Well, I don't think he was. I don't think he was highlighted anywhere. I don't think he moved the needle anywhere.
Don't remember hearing much buzz about him.
No.
After that was seen as like the sort of weed smokers' best pickup of the year. Like everyone was saying how great it was.
Yeah, no, I don't think.
I mean, yeah, all right. There's some fumbles, but yeah, it looks like a kind of average season. What was his, that was his good season, wasn't it? 24. But I guess.
Yeah.
Sorry, no. Looking at this, it looks like 22 and 23 were his good seasons. But I thought 24 was his good season when that's when he got most of the snaps, right?
Was that when McCaffrey went down and
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of consistently productive. Yeah. Okay.
A good back to have in the room, but nobody that's going to set the world alight.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah,
so
I wouldn't be surprised if they're in the running back market because Jones isn't getting any younger.
I don't think they're in the Jeremiah Love bracket, but
You don't think he gets out past 10? Is what you're saying?
I don't think he gets out past 7. I honestly think that's where the Commanders are picking 7, and yeah, I'd be stunned if he doesn't get past that. Yeah, I've already I've done a little bit of running back stuff already, before the episode, and I've already obviously looked at Love, and yeah, he ain't. If he gets out of the top 10, it'll just be purely because of him being a running back. Like it's not on the player at all.
That's the thing, isn't it? I mean, he's 6 on the big board.
Yeah, he might be the best player in this draft. Honestly, like he's that good. But
what about Tennessee then?
Well, yeah, that's the other thing. Like if Tennessee really think that he could do a job, I mean, I like Tajay Spears, but he's not. He's not Jeremiah
Love.
Love.
Guy, is he? He's not him.
No, exactly. Could be a very nice compliment, certainly, to him.
I mean, Pollard and Spears, they're not getting it done in that sort of lead back way.
No, Pollard's definitely past it, isn't he? In that respect, not as a player, but as a lead back.
The Titans are better when they've got someone that they can put on the front of the program, right? Kind of they struggle.
Well, they want that to be Cam Ward, don't they? So.
Well, yeah, they want it to be, but is it going to be? They struggle, since Henry's gone. They just need a big name player to bring people in. I wouldn't be surprised actually if Love went there.
There's some other interesting moves, particularly DJ Moore going to Buffalo. I think that's a needed move for Buffalo, certainly. I don't think the Bears are going to be too damaged.
Struggling to try and get a wide receiver into that place.
Exactly, yeah. I think that's going to be a nice combination. I think Josh Allen's going to be over the moon with that. Because Moore can definitely still do damage. So I think that's great.
I don't think we've really seen the full potential of Moore yet in this.
No.
How old is he? 28? I'm going to guess.
Something like that, yeah. So definitely late 20s. But yeah, as I say, I don't think the Bears are going to be too hampered by it because I think Luther Burden kind of slots in nicely in Moore's position there. You got Roma Dunze as well. I think that's still a good room. Maybe you add to it a little bit, but I like that move a lot for the Bills, certainly. Mike Evans going to the 49ers. That electrical substation is absolutely loving the fact that Mike Evans' hamstrings have come over there.
I know, exactly. That's what I thought. Why would you go there when you're at the end of your career, you've had a few injury problems, you've got some back and some other issues? Oh yeah, I'll go to the place where everyone gets injured. I mean,
I can't believe that the electrical substation went from a conspiracy theory to they're genuinely looking into it now because it might actually be a thing. It's insane. Yeah. Why would you, as Mike Evans, decide to effectively end your career by going there? At this point, it would not surprise me if the electrical substation shot Ricky Pearsall in his rookie year. Did we ever find the guy who did it?
Yeah. You mentioned the Bears. I mean, it's funny that they've gone from having such a stacked receiver core to suddenly Raymond Khalif being the third man up.
Oh yeah, Khalif Raymond. Yeah, they picked him up, and he's not bad as a. He's going to be a WR3,
right? But
yeah, exactly, yeah. But
they went from having this production line of Keenan Allen and DJ Moore, and now they've got two very very junior players. I don't know. I think
maybe a grizzled vet will go in there. I don't know who's still available, but I still like Dunze and Burden.
I do as well. I like them, but it's definitely that's just the way she goes, isn't it? When you've got a rookie quarterback, you can pad out your roster. This is the beginning of the tricky period, I think, for them. They're not wanting to play those vets.
I have breaking Steelers news.
Go ahead.
Former Titans free agent defensive lineman Sebastian Joseph Day is signing a 2-year, $11 million deal with the Steelers.
Okay, let's have a look.
$6 million this year. I will admit now I'm not completely au fait with Mr. Joseph Day. So let's have a quick look and kind of see what the immediate reaction is. I mean, 11 million. Yeah, 6 million guaranteed as well.
Yeah, he's played some snaps. He's played.
First comment I see here, Omar Khan just taking victory laps at this point.
Looks like the tackling's all right, but the rest of it's kind of patchy. All right.
Yeah, again, is it just
6th round draft pick, 2018? 6'4", 310.
Yeah, he looks. I mean, yeah, from his picture here, it just looks like a hugely stacked dude. Yeah, I think that's just a nice, more additional D line. I think that possibly is the writing on the wall then, maybe for Loudermilk.
Yeah,
maybe
he's smaller.
Smaller, but I don't think we need an exact 6'7" replacement. We could still potentially attack that in the draft, but yeah, I don't think it's looking like a kind of major pickup, but yeah, certainly an interesting one for the depth.
Yeah,
I hate when you go under these, when you look at the insiders and you look at the comments underneath, and the amount of bots that just say absolutely nothing of any substance. It's
what do they
absolutely?
say?
Oh,
absolutely nothing.
Yeah, exactly that. Nothing with substance, and it annoys me because I'm trying to find actual proper analysis on him, and I'm just getting nothing. Just getting nothing but bots, and it's just frustrating.
Some people want nothing but bot, but not you.
No, not in this case. No, not when I'm trying to figure out who this boy is. But welcome Sebastian Joseph Day to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Indeed.
Nice to get a little bit of breaking news.
Very rare for us.
Exactly. Yeah. As soon as we log off this, Rogers will probably return or something like that, and that'll be annoying. But yeah, it's just the way it is. Are there any other wide receiver? Well, no, not even wide receiver, just general free agent pickups you wanted to talk about? The Saints getting Travis Achan. Who is Travis Achan? Apparently, that's Travis Etienne. What the hell? So everybody's just been saying his name wrong the entire time. Like, what? Why is it suddenly Achan now? What the hell's going on? We already have an Achan in the league.
I don't understand this. What? So he's saying I thought it was Etienne, like Etienne.
Well, no, but the way he was saying it. It's Achan.
No, I thought he was saying it's Etienne, which sounds like Achan. It
sounds but the way I saw it, the way I kind of heard it, was Achan.
Really? Okay. Well, that's ridiculous.
I'll have to revisit it, but I'm fairly sure when I listened to it earlier, he was saying Achan. Maybe I wasn't.
I think you want it to be Achan because that's ridiculous, but I think it's
Achan. Well, that's what people were saying as well. It's just like we've got two Achans in the league now all of a sudden.
Yeah, it sounds like Achan, but I think it's Etienne, which is different.
Which makes more sense. Yeah. Well, it sounds like a sneeze, but it'd be funny if he's that and then his brother is still Etienne.
Yeah, and Devon Achane decides he's actually Achan.
It's Devon Etienne. It's a complete mix-up. But yeah, I outside of that, is Alvin Kamara retiring?
Wow, he's nearly done.
Yeah.
So, how are you feeling about the Steelers' move so far? You got a grade for us, or?
I haven't got a grade. I'm loath to grade things when I haven't seen them in action. But I
want
the
an
Pittman
immediate grade.
Oh yeah, okay. Well,
it doesn't have to be how it's going to be, how it's going to turn out. I'm not going to call you
just,
up.
No. But yeah, just
how you feeling about the moves that have been made.
I'm feeling mostly positive. I'd probably go around a B. I would say. It can never be an A because we've lost Gainwell, and that sucks. But the Pittman pickup's really nice. I like what I saw out of Dowdle last year, and I think that could still be a positive. I still think there's been some shrewd moves made. Jamal Dean being one of them. We've kind of got rid of some guys that we were expecting to get rid of, and I'm not majorly bothered by it. but there's still bits to go, and I think we've set ourselves up nicely. A lot of draft picks ahead as well. So yeah, I'm going to go for a B as a free agency kind of all round. I'm not going to go as far as B plus or anything like that. But are you higher or lower than I would be?
I am going to go B plus, and that's because of the two players, Pittman and Dean. If it was just average generic player in those positions, then it would be a B because I think what they've done is fine. But just I like those two players, so it just elevates me to a plus for them.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, what kind of brings it down for me is the Gainwell loss.
Yeah,
I think that is significant enough.
That's stopping it from being anywhere near an A for me.
Yeah, I think I'm higher. It certainly sounds like I'm higher on Dowdle than you are. But we'll see. And yeah, we'll see if Caleb Johnson makes any sort of impact for that. Right, yeah. If we've got no other free agency moves, let's move on to these tight ends, shall we? So as I say, it's going to be a bit of a different sort of analysis because, as I say, I believe Gav, did you say you'd seen 4 of these guys?
Yeah, just I brushed up on 4 because I knew we were doing this pod together. But yeah, so it wasn't a massive deep dive, but I did watch the top 4 guys.
Yeah. Okay, that's all good. And yeah, I've watched a fair few, and what I will do after those top 4 is I'll kind of almost speed run some guys. I think definitely some interesting conversation to be had about it. I've got Tom's Red Star and Sleeper as well in this, and I've got Tom's thoughts as well about the draft class as a whole. And I think me and Tom slightly differ on this. So Tom believes this is a bit of an underrated class, and while I agree with him when he says that there is talent to be found at pretty much every round of this draft, I don't think it's underrated. I think, if anything, it's rated. I think it's fine. I'm not blown away by the talent in this group. There's certainly some very intriguing lower end prospects, but I'm not kind of in the same boat. There's not a guy. There's one guy that's you would probably say is first round material, certainly, but I'm not. We'll go into it, and I'll show you kind of how enthused I am by this group as a whole, which is going to be maybe not so much, but we'll see. Looking at the top 4 guys that you did, Gav, did you kind of get any sort of indication the top end of this draft class? How you sort of felt about that?
Yeah, I think if you want a pass catching tight end, you've got some options here.
And trust me, it's that all the way through. It feels like there are very few blocking options in this. Yeah. There is a couple, but very few.
Yeah, there was one standout guy that's going to be my Red Star. But yeah, from what I saw, very kind of modern NCAA football tight end. Just a big slot, kind of big receiver dude. That some of them aren't even that big; they're just very athletic, and you're going to struggle to find a role for them unless you specifically try and get them on the field as much as possible in a very pass-centric offense, which the NFL is moving away from a bit. They want these kind of like move tight ends, but they want them to be able to block and. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think? I mean, the top guy's interesting. He's very, very interesting because
very. Yeah,
I find him a hard projection. What do you think? Do you want to get into the top guy?
Well, yeah. Let's get into the top guy, and just before we do, I kind of touched on the fact that we are now 2 tight ends down, and we're, Pat Fryermuth and Darnell Washington plus potentially whoever might still be kicking around practice squad wise. What are we kind of looking for in this draft? Because I feel like the Steelers, if we don't attack anything in free agency, we may well be looking at somebody, lower end of this draft potentially to kind of fill that tight end 3 role. So what are we kind of looking for? Because Muth and Washington give you different things. What sort of tight end mold would you want out of your tight end 3?
I think what I was looking for and what I think the Steelers need is an all-rounder. someone that can come on and stay on and do like who's the second tight end for the Lions? That guy, can't remember his name. Hang on.
Oh,
I'll find you in split second. Hang on.
Yeah, the guy behind
Brock
Laporte.
Wright.
Brock Wright, yes.
That guy can catch, can block, is a physical presence, can affect the run game. That guy. I think that's what they need. Not a flashy, Jonnu Smith cat, but a dude that can inline block, but can also catch. An all-round dude. And I think there is a perfect dude in this draft class, to be honest.
I think there is as well. Probably a guy you haven't seen, but I think there is an ideal guy for that later on that I'm very excited to talk about. But yes, as you alluded to, let's talk about the guy that is currently the consensus number 1 tight end and is currently consensus 17 on the mock draft database board. Kenyon Sadiq out of our favourite, Oregon. The junior, 21 years of age, only just turned 21 as well. Last week. Happy birthday for last week, Kenyon. 6'3", 241 pounds. Man, this guy at the combine. If Sonny Styles hadn't already stolen the show, well, let's say Sonny Styles stole the show in the defense. This guy stole the show for the offense. Shattered the all-time tight end 40 record. The 4.39. I think he had a RAS score that put him in at least the top 3 of tight ends all time. This guy is just a freak athlete, isn't he? He was a freaks list guy, Feldman's freaks list guy. He's a guy who's built his weight up and has brought it back down a little bit. I think he can control his weight like that, which is really encouraging to see. Built up from 220 to 255 at one point, and now dropped back down to 241. You might want to put it back on a little bit, although again, it's that fine balance of does that kind of ruin your speed in that respect. I mean, the guy's a highlight reel, isn't he? He's an absolute highlight reel. I think him and one other guy in this draft class are just absolute highlight reels. But yeah, Sadiq is just some of the catches are absolutely absurd that he makes. I think he's a willing blocker. It's okay. It's nothing special, but he's certainly willing. He's got a great motor and fight to him, certainly. That really pops up on tape. He's just an absolute Duracell bunny of a player. Great versatility as well. This will be a kind of recurring theme, at least with some of these players across this class. I do think the versatility is really nice in terms of where they're able to line up. Tight end is such an interesting, varied position anyway. It's great when you get some of these players that do kind of line up in all sorts of areas. Great vertical leap to him. Showed that off at the combine anyway, but you see it on tape. His touchdown against USC is a prime example of that, of how well he high points the ball in that respect. Obviously, he had the most touchdowns for a tight end in this entire class. 6 drops in 2025. You want to clean those up a little bit. Weirdly, does have shortish arms, so the catch radius is possibly limited by that. Although you don't see that on tape as much, you still think because of his athleticism, he's not hindered by that. But obviously, short arms isn't the ideal thing. Only 4.9 average yards after catch. I would have thought that would have been bigger, but I think kind of lacks play strength in that respect. Can be brought down quite easily. I would expect it to be better for an athlete of his capability. I do think he kind of just sits in zones as well a bit too often, as opposed to finding open space to help Dante Moore out, certainly in that last year. It is a difficult projection for him, but I'm at value for him because I'm not like... I wouldn't put him in the Loveland Warren tier of last year. I think he would still be tight end 3 if it was him coming out last year. So I don't put him in like the Loveland Warren Bowers. It's certainly not the Bowers tier. But I think if you can... It's a fine line with him of, as I say, if you bulk him up, then maybe the blocking will improve. He could still improve, but it'd be nice if he kind of bulks up a little bit. But then do you lose a little bit of that athleticism? And it's all a bit of a fine line. But man, the athlete that you're getting, incredible upside on that. That is going to entice anybody. I think that alone makes him a first rounder. But yeah, I've not got him on a pedestal as high as I thought I might coming into it, looking at the tape. But yeah, supreme athlete that could do wonders for a team that is looking for that sort of receiving threat tight end. What did you think?
I thought he's an amazing athlete, absolutely incredible, and the combine just highlighted that in a big way. And you watch the tape, and I really like the blocking on tape. I think the blocking's great.
Oh, fair enough. I wasn't as I said, he's certainly willing blocker, and I just felt it wasn't anything like I've seen better blockers in this class. I'll say that much.
Right. I just thought you're looking at an athletic catch move tight end that can actually block in college, and that's the distinction. I don't think it's going to translate. That's the problem. He's just too small, and like you say, I think he's going to struggle to put on the strength without affecting his ability to move. So I think he's destined to be a tight end too. I don't think he's going to be a tight end one. So should you take this guy in the first round? That's the real conundrum, because I think you watch the tape, the blocking's great. It's just a projection of how he's going to project. I worry he's going to get owned. What is he? He's 6'3", 241, right? Muth is 6'5", 251. And Muth at times isn't, he's not the best NFL blocker, is he? And he doesn't seem like he's big. This guy's way smaller than Muth. You do like to see the comps. You've got Jared Cook and Dustin Keller on the mock draftable. They're two good tight ends. But are they outliers? I don't know. But on the other hand, he's a good athlete. I think if you've got I don't know, if you want to use him in a way that unlocks his ability, you're probably not going to keep him on as an inline blocker, are you? You're going to try and move him out. You're going to try and split him around. You're going to get him moving. So if you've got that kind of offense and you can squeeze him in, then again, maybe it's a Rams move. It's a pickup that's going to push you over the edge. He's an interesting cat. He's not your traditional tight end. He's not going to stay.
He's a slot end, really, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's going to line up there a lot, and I think,
look at the
be that receiving
graph.
threat.
It's so one-sided: height, weight, wingspan, arm length, all completely zero, and then the athletic ability is off the chart. So it's a tough one. It's a tough one.
It's mad. I mean, what are you at value with him, or are you
exactly at value? Because it's a terrifying projection, because you could reach for this guy, take him, and then he does very little. Or you take him and he's an absolute superstar. It's a really tough projection. The tape's great. In college, he's in a fantastic college tight end, but will it project? That's the question.
Yeah, and I do think as I say, I've even got it in here. While his blocking is fine at the college level, I do think at his size it may not be as effective in the NFL. So yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. And I think that's going to be one of the key areas to kind of look at early doors with him. But man, if you're just a team that just needs 6 to 10 touchdowns from your tight end, if you're going to be that sort of team that attacks, you want a best friend for your quarterback. Again, I'd like him to find open space a bit more and be more of a best friend to him. But otherwise, if you want an athletic freak in the middle there, then 100% you're gonna take Sadiq and say athleticism alone is first round worthy.
Yeah, is he the kind of tight end that's going to help you in the red zone or between the 20s? I think between the 20s. I don't think he's going to be a red zone weapon. Do you?
Well, this is the thing. So he does have a good leap on him. And I think you could find him in back corners of the end zone.
Isn't that going to be nullified at the NFL? That's because he's playing.
That's the key. That's
Oregon
the thing, isn't it? Yeah,
playing in the SEC. Let's not forget. It's not the creme de la creme opposition.
No, certainly. But it's nice to know he's got that in him.
I think you can
I think
see it from the stats here. Yards per reception, 12 yards per reception, right? 8 touchdowns on the season. So yeah, he's had a few touchdowns, but he's not. That isn't his bread and butter. His bread and butter is getting first downs in space. I think he's a space player. I don't think he's a Travis Kelce doing both for you, getting you first downs and getting you touchdowns. I think he's a yardage monster potentially, but then only 509 yards. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but yeah, 4.9 yak. Like he's not.
He's not a yak guy. No, he's
No.
He's going to get open and turn the corner and find space.
He is. Yeah, he is such a weird projection, and like he could be world class, but I think which team he lands on is vital. Do you think he's projected 17 here? Do you think the Baltimore Raven? I suppose they've got Mark Andrews still, and yeah, it's probably a bit extreme to replace Isaiah Likely with a 14th overall pick tight end. But yeah, just trying to project where he might go. Yeah, it's a very difficult one to think. I mean, I can't even think who people are kind of mocking him to as well. Like the mock drafts I've seen.
So
Yeah,
I just want to look at the top tight ends taken, right? So Colston Loveland, you mentioned it, and Tyler Warren last year.
Yeah, Loveland, my red star from last year. Yeah,
I'd put those two ahead.
Yeah, I certainly would. Yeah, Warren's thing was just effort more than anything else. But my God, did he? He starred in that Colts offense in his rookie year as well. But yeah, in terms of college,
yeah, we're just going to go back over the last few years. Brock Bowers.
Yeah, no chart. Brock Bowers is the best tight end of the last however long. Yeah.
Is this Trey McBride? Hang on. Where are we? Next one would be Dalton Kincaid.
Now I liked Kincaid
As a prospect.
I did. I liked him more than Myers, but you liked Michael Mayer. Sorry, yeah, Michael
Mayer. Yeah, more of a blocker.
Yeah,
and then you've got Sam Laporta in that class as well in the second round.
Yeah, although I don't know, I can't remember if I was as high. Certainly, Cy was very high on Laporta.
But anyway, let's talk about Kincaid, who was the first round. So, if it was Kincaid or Sadiq, I think I'd still be going Kincaid, to be honest.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I love Kincaid. I think he was my red star that year. So yeah, I would still say Kincaid, which is wild because I do really like Kenyon Sadiq. This is the thing.
It's a scary projection. Wait, what year are we here? 2022. Who's the first tight end taken in 2022? Maybe this is the year.
Yeah, because I don't think there was a first rounder in 22, was there?
Trey McBride. There you go.
Oh yeah.
I would still potentially take Trey McBride over Sadiq.
Yeah, then I'm getting a bit hazy in terms of how I felt about those guys. College
I like
projection
McBride.
wise,
He was my red star. So then next year, okay, Kyle Pitts. We would have taken Kyle Pitts over Sadiq.
Oh man, yeah.
Right. So we're going back 5 yeyears, 6 years.
Man, should we have really thought about the Kyle Pitts? I suppose we didn't really know what was
but as a prospect,
coming,
he
did
was
we?
absolutely
Yeah,
awesome.
It was elite, wasn't he? Yeah.
Okay, so this is the year. What year? 2020. Cole Kmet was the top tight end. Yeah, see, I like Kmet because he had that physicality, but he wasn't. He wasn't the athlete that Sadiq is.
No.
So I think if in 2020 we'd have been having a strong conversation about who was top tight end out of Sadiq and Cole Kmet. But I think that's a useful exercise because it shows you that I don't think Sadiq is that top tier of prospect. He's a top tier athlete, but I don't think he's. So I wouldn't be surprised if Trey McBride fell to the second round. I wouldn't be surprised if Kenyon Sadiq does.
Would be interesting. And I think it leads on nicely because people have Sadiq as this first rounder, and they think like it's Sadiq and then the others. You say when you talk about the tight end class, you say other than Sadiq or outside of Sadiq. I actually don't think it's too far a gap between Sadiq and the next guy we're going to talk about. And I didn't know if you wanted to introduce our next fellow, considering you love Diego Pavia so much.
Yeah. I can talk a little bit about Stowers, but it's probably something you should talk about because I wasn't massively high on him. I've got to be honest. He transferred from quarterback, which is interesting. But I thought what he did really well was he was that Y stick seam guy. You know, like the power ball up the hashes. I thought he did that really well. I thought he had.
I will say, just quickly, we're talking about Eli Stowers here.
Did I not say?
I don't think we mentioned the name. No, Eli Stowers of Vanderbilt.
Eli Stowers. I haven't got the measurables here. I told you I was all right.
6'4", 239.
Apologies, Eli Stowers. Dangerous down the hashes. Good balance. Good body control. Good at finding open grass when the play breaks down, and that's a plus. Like I think he has that ability from being a quarterback to thinking like a quarterback to helping his quarterback out. Like as soon as there's that sort of kind of like split second where the play has kind of died, and everyone goes, "Oh, okay, like let's get open because this hasn't worked." He's open. He's already moved. He's found open space. He's great at that. That's a plus skill. And what I thought about it, tell me if I'm wrong here, I thought he had a real rugby vibe about him. Just the way he runs in space. It felt like I was watching rugby league. I don't know what it was
Interesting. About him. There is actually a genuine rugby player in this class. It's not Stowers, but right. That's an interesting thought.
It just made me, I don't know what it was about him. It just made me feel like when he turns the corner, and he seems to turn the corner a lot. He seems to be getting shoveled and handed off the ball. Turns the corner around the line, opens up with speed really well. Funnily enough, looks like a quarterback who is taking off from a crashing pocket. So maybe that's not a coincidence because that's what he is. I thought decent hands, but here comes the problems. It just looks too lean for me. Just look too light in the pants, and I'm not sure he's got enough mustard in the NFL to make it. Not a blocker, so. This is a passing game only dude who is raw. So I liked his upside. I know some people love him. I'm at value though. I'm not down on him. I can see that there's a role for him, but I'm not taking him that highly. I'm probably going to let someone else draft him because I think it's a projection. It's a risk. Some talent there. Fun with the ball in his hands. But yeah, I was not the complete guy that I'm looking for. What do you think?
I kind of love him. I totally get what you're talking about with the blocking. It isn't top tier. I also think he kind of needs to work on separation because his contested catch rate is quite high. So definitely separate a little bit. He also had no special team snaps in college, which I think is a bit of an issue when especially going into your rookie year. Could find himself at a bit of a disadvantage there. But man, I mean this is a guy who was another terrific athlete at the combine, did really well there. Thought he was strong at the catch point, versatile, again, another versatile guy. As you say, former quarterback, definitely showed some of that trickeration in that very fun Vanderbilt offense. His hands historically have been great, although he did have 4 drops in 2025. But as you say, he's undersized. The yak is pretty middling. He's a mediocre run blocker. He's academically smart. He won the William V. Campbell Trophy for academics. Also won the John Mackey Award, which I believe is the tight end award. And a unanimous All-American in 25. Pavia was, I'm a big Pavia fan as well of what he did this last year. And I think over the last 2 years with Vanderbilt and that New Mexico State year in 2023 as well, I think a big part of Pavia being as great as he was Eli Stowers. I think their combination was fantastic. I'm really high on what Stowers can do as a weapon. Certainly, there's little blocking in there, but I think as an athlete and as a receiving threat, I think he could do wonders for a team. I'm +1 on him. I nearly red starred him at one point until there was a guy that I really, really loved further down. But yeah, I'm really, really high on Stowers. I actually don't think the gap between Sadiq and Stowers is massive. I think Stowers could easily be a second round pick. I'm a big fan.
Fair enough. I can see it, and it's fun. It's nice when he takes off. Wow, I mean, you look at his grades over the last couple of seasons, pretty nice.
Yeah, no, yeah, the grades are fantastic as well, and yeah, there's some really nice stuff in there. I mean, yeah, the touchdown production isn't as wild as 4 touchdowns this year, which isn't massive, but yeah, it's still. I think historically it's been.
Again, that's what I'm saying. Another dude, no height, no weight on his, medium, poor hand size, poor arm length. It's a measurables thing. So, it's a very raw, athletic dude. I guess you can argue they're different players, aren't they? Him and Sadiq, but they're in a similar sort of how you're going to try and fit them onto your roster is they're not a perfect fit. I can't work out.
Yeah, I mean the top comp, the top comp for Stowers being Kenyan Sadiq is quite something.
There you go.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I really really enjoy watching Stowers and really think he can be an absolute threat in the right offense.
Right. So what were you? I was at value. What were you?
I was +1.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he could be a real, maybe even early second round sort of guy that you pick up as a weapon.
I just don't know how you work. I don't know how you work him onto your team. That's the thing. If you thought, think about how the Steelers struggled with Jonnu Smith this year just gone. I mean, yes, he's a talented player. You get the ball into his hands, but they were having to manufacture touches to him, and I feel like that's what you're going to have to do with Stowers. I don't think he's a natural pass catcher, like a real, natural receiver. He's more of a shovel guy or a pitch or a toss guy, isn't he? Like that's what.
Well, yeah, that's
why I got the rugby vibes out of him. You kind of want to. It's a short pass. Give him the ball in space, and he'll turn the corner and long strider, and he'll make people miss. But
a team will take advantage of that, though. A clever offensive team will take advantage of that, and I think, yeah.
But it's a role. It's a role rather than a every down kind of real, different making tight end.
But it's an upside.
He's
in
not
terms
Heath Miller, is he? He's not a guy that's there every play. What were you going to say?
No. I think it's a very interesting discussion on it, and I just see a very creative offense being able to use him in his best ways, and yeah, the blocking isn't anything particularly to write home about, but
it's not there, is it? I didn't see much. What has been?
No, I mean, but I think again that's part and parcel of this class a little bit, and I don't necessarily. We kind of touched at I know Ketz, Mike, and Tom kind of touched on last year. What is a tight end in modern NFL? I think the role is so varied now that you could probably afford to have a guy like this who hasn't really got that much of a blocking upside, but is such a terrific threat elsewhere that you can kind of work around it.
I suppose he could give you some reps as emergency quarterback as well. That's not. I mean,
well, exactly.
Seriously, not to be sniffed at. I mean, we've seen what's happened.
Yeah, no.
Remember Denver starting a wide receiver at quarterback a few years ago. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, yeah, if you've got a former quarterback on your team, you need to be using. I think every team should have a former quarterback just to be able to use it in that sort of situation. Look how well it worked for the 49ers over the last couple of years. I think
the other classic one.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, our own Antoine Randall,
Right.
Can really work. Okay, I'll move us on to the next guy, Max Clare, out of Ohio State, formerly of Purdue, redshirt junior, 22 years of age, 6'4", 246 pounds. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tampa Bay's roster, Mr. Max Clare. And it's one of the less positive ones for me. Safe hands, certainly in 2025 at least. Decent speed. I think he comes off blocks well to get open as well. I think he shifts well in that respect. I think he looked bigger than 246. I don't know if he dropped weight for the combine. I think he looked massive on tape with broad shoulders. He's a former quarterback. as well. So that's certainly something to bear in mind. 78.2 completion rate on targets in 2025. All of that very positive. Mediocre blocking ability, I felt. I didn't think he was great at all as a blocker. Minimal touchdown production as well for a guy who's got more of a receiving upside. He had great production in Purdue. I think that dropped when he moved up into the ranks at Ohio State. I don't think it was, I think people put a lot on him moving up there, and I think there was a lot of talk about Claire coming into this season, and I don't think it quite got to where you wanted it to be. The speed and athleticism isn't quite where I'd like it to be for someone who's kind of a relatively smaller tight end. Still only 246, which is kind of borderline. He was safe hands in 2025, but he has got a past history of drops as well. Had an ankle injury in 2023 that cost him most of that season, which was a concern. I think he's fine. I think he's got moderate athletic traits, but I'm not, an intermediate weapon, sure. Game changer, I'm not buying that, to be honest. I'm not particularly high on him at all, to be honest. I'm -1. I just didn't feel much of anything with Max Clare outside of very decent hands in 2025, but just the production and what you kind of were hoping to get out of him just didn't really transpire at a bit of a higher level. It's not tremendously higher, but it's Purdue to Ohio State. Maybe it is a bit of a leap up, but especially with the team around him, I guess he just didn't shine as much as you would hope. But yeah, just as an NFL projection, I don't know. I'm kind of borderline if he's a top 100 player. And he's, what is he consensus board on here? He's in the 70s and he's 77. That's third round. I don't know. I'd take him back end of day 3, if that, personally.
I'm -2. I wouldn't take him at all.
Wow. Okay. Please talk about it.
Well, I just, I didn't have that much time to spend on this class. I watched a couple of quick games, wasn't impressed. And then I look at the measurables. I mean, his spider graph is a dot. And then I look at his, where did I see his PFF grade here? 1 second. Where was I? Here we are. Where he's been receiving the ball is actually all right, but I just see a player that is not going to make it because of a lack of athleticism. I just don't want him. So I switched off quite quickly, to be honest.
I'm not surprised either. I just the Purdue guy was, pretty decent and probably had quite a promising, if rather insignificant, kind of rise. But yeah, I don't think the move particularly helped his stock, and I just don't buy it. I'm certainly not pounding the table to bring him into Pittsburgh. That's for sure.
And just unexciting. And you look at the comparisons; they're all people that have not made it. There's just no upside. Where's the upside with this guy? I didn't see it. The tape was uninspiring. I don't understand why he's so high. Why is he so high? Why is he getting drafted in the third round?
I think it's. I don't know. I guess it's this. I would have thought it might be the safe hands, but again, he's that wasn't great at Purdue, and it was better at Ohio State. But yeah, I don't get it myself. I think it's. I don't know if it's just the jersey. Is it just the fact that he's at Ohio State and people kind of bump him up a little bit in that respect?
You can understand this if there's a boring tight end that has the size, right? You're like, oh, okay, well, you've got the frame, and there's something like the pink wafer, right? You're like, okay, yeah, he's 6'7", he's got long. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. He's got the long arms. This dude's small. So
Yeah.
he's got none of the upside of one of these like mobile pass catching tight ends, but yet he's got the size of one. So I don't get it at all. So I'm sorry, I'm -2 on this dude. I don't understand it. Someone explain it to me. Someone on YouTube explain to me why he is this high. Max Clare.
Please do. I must backtrack a little bit because I completely forgot to say that Eli Stowers is Tom's Red Star.
I was going to say.
Red Star.
I do apologise, Tom. I can't believe I fell off that. If you're still listening, if you haven't turned off in anger after I missed that, just what Tom said about Stowers, he is just a weapon in the pass game, needs to improve his run blocking, but just has such a natural pass catching ability. Fun tape. Yeah, absolutely 100% agree with that on Stowers. So, yeah.
I agree with that. I agree with that we should talk about Stowers over Clare.
Oh yeah. Let's move as quickly as much as possible on from Max Clare, but yeah. Sorry, Tom. Just go back to Stowers there. So you've got one more. Have you got one more guy? Two more. Okay, so Clare was a guy you turned off quite quickly.
Yeah, didn't. Really,
but I think this next guy is going to be a very interesting discussion if we're going where I think we're going.
Mm-hmm. Is it me?
It is, yep.
All right, let's go to, I'll get the name right and the school and actually mention his measurables and stuff. Michael Trigg out of Baylor, 6'4", 240. Pass catching, versatile, receiving tight end weapon. Now, I was really excited to watch this guy's tape because I thought he was going to be great because I watched Sawyer Robertson and most of the plays went to him. And I liked him. I did like him. You know, used a lot out of slot and an H-back. Like his physicality. Seems to enjoy contact. You see him go for extras at the end of the play quite a lot. Quite like that. You know, a bit of nastiness to him. Got some juice down his roots. Can flash a step or a head to sell a route break. Pretty fearless over the middle. But you know, I've seen a few balls bounce off his hands. Maybe there's like concentration drops or like hard hands, maybe, and maybe not the soft hands. But it's a weird one because I liked his hands generally. Like I thought he good balance and good like acro catches, extended high points. But then you see the balls just bouncing off his hands at other times. So I wasn't quite sure about that, but. Definitely gets separation at top of breaks through agility and physicality. Definitely a threat down the seam, threat over the middle, decent long speed. Wasn't sure if it was completely fast enough to be considered a pass weapon in the NFL. Has he run a 40 yet? I'm not sure.
Did he run at the combine? I can't remember. Let me check. I didn't note it down, so I don't know if it might have been somewhat unimpressive.
I don't think he has. That's huge because how fast actually is he?
Yeah, he didn't. No.
Yeah, I liked him. I'm definitely a fan of Michael Trigg. I thought he was an easy catcher of the ball in stride, but just not a dominator. He's like a willing but technical blocker. You don't ever see him moving people around. He's just kind of a wall-off guy blocker. So is he ever going to be your tight end one? I didn't see much more than a tight end 2 passing game weapon. So I wanted to like him, but where are we? Sort of beginning of the 4th round.
Yeah, 98, very back end of the 3rd, I think, with the comp picks. Yeah.
I'm at value with him. I'm at value. I wanted to like him more because I like his highlight reel more than I like his actual game film.
Now, I don't know if you saw this on Twitter, Gav, but for anybody who follows me on Twitter, I kind of posted a preview tease of a player in this draft class. You're familiar with the Crystal Maze, right, Gav? The old game show?
I am that old, yes.
Yes. Well, for anyone not familiar, Crystal Maze, game show from the 90s from Richard O'Brien, the mind of Rocky Horror Picture Show. Basically, people solving puzzles in all these different zones in order to collect crystals.
Egypt
those crystals, Aztec and industrial, all those, all that to retrieve crystals to get more time inside the Crystal Dome. Now, Gav, what did you have to do within the Crystal Dome?
Grab cash.
Close enough. Yeah, tokens. Yeah.
Tokens.
So you grabbed gold tokens. You needed that was the option. The
Yeah, it was like gold
gold.
notes, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so you had to grab 100. You had to have 100 gold notes, but for each silver note that you grabbed, it would take off the total. Michael Trigg is the human equivalent of that, of grabbing gold notes, but then having silver notes take away. So for every incredible highlight reel catch, and he's the other highlight reel guy I was talking about, including a ridiculous one-handed grab against Kansas State, which I still don't know how he got. For every bit of that, for every feat of athleticism that you did see from him, for every powerful block that he did have within him, you also had total whiffs, bad drops, inconsistency as a blocker, and he also has off the field issues. He's had 2 suspensions in his career. He didn't report to practice after a big game. I think it was Alabama. I think I saw, but he didn't report to practice after a big game as well. He's kind of flipped between USC and Ole Miss, and now landed at Baylor. Yeah, there is some concerning stuff there. I mean, this guy apparently has a record-setting wingspan. I believe I saw for a tight end, which is, that's considering he's 6'4", like a lot of the other guys in here. That's pretty insane. And he does have a basketball background as well. Again, another one of these guys that's got positional versatility. He's got 17 missed tackles forced in 2025, which is far more than anybody else in this class. Way more than anybody else. Got 6 touchdowns this year and definitely was a valuable weapon for Sawyer Robertson in that Baylor offense. But yeah, he's going to be 24 when the draft starts. Not when the draft starts, when the season starts. 7 drops in 2025. Inconsistent blocker. The blocking was awful in the tape I saw against Cincinnati. His motor runs hot and cold, very much like Robertson's. Funnily enough, it felt like if both of those guys. Yeah, if both of those guys are on it, then it was great. They almost felt like they were synced up in that way, and not always in the best way. Yeah, for every good trait that Michael Trigg has, there just feels like there's something that takes off of it. He is a roller coaster. Like, if you can get all the good bits of Trigg and take out the bad bits as much as you can, what a hell of a weapon you could have on your hands with Michael Trigg. But he's so volatile, but really, really fun. Like, I'm on the fence with this one. I'm at value. You can sit me on the fence, but I've got the binoculars and the popcorn out watching him very intently because I'm really, really intrigued to see what he does in the NFL. But yeah, back end of third, start of day 3, I think is the ideal place for Trigg, for a team that's going to take their chance on a guy that could be a bit of a potential Didlow, but also a really, really fun guy to have in your offense.
Yeah. It is potential Didlow, isn't it? I mean, what are the off-field things, or?
Yeah, so the 2 suspensions are the big one. I'm not entirely sure what they were for. I can have a quick look at that actually, right. But so and not turning up for practice as well.
Is 7 feet and 3/8 inches.
Jeez.
So you're looking at his height is 38th percentile, his weight is 7th percentile, wingspan 99 percentile, arm length 91 percentile, hand size 91 percentile. So yeah, the dude's got a catch radius, that's for sure.
God damn. Team discipline issues was why he's suspended.
That's got to concern you, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm at value as well. It's interesting because I think I'd mentioned that I'd seen before I watched these guys. I'd seen some Trigg, and the highlights are good, right? Like you said, the highlights are great.
They're great.
But it's just the rest of the tape is lowlights. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's so inconsistent. It's wild. But yeah, if you stuck a highlight reel tape of this guy on, you would just be like, oh my god, like why is this guy not getting more talk? And then you just see the rest of it. And that's where you're concerned. But man, 7-foot wingspan
to watch tape, right? Because I was like
100%.
Based on the highlights I'd seen, I was like, Trigg's better than Sadiq.
And there was a lot of people on Twitter, watching Baylor throughout the season and kind of keeping up with Robertson in particular, but having a look at Trigg, and a lot of people really getting excited. I think, especially after that Kansas State game, I think a lot of people were like, "Oh man, this guy's great." And there were a few kind of draft nicks who were kind of tempering expectations about Trigg. It's just like, let's not go overboard with this guy. He's got these sort of issues around him as well. Let's not big him up too much. So yeah, you definitely see that when you look at the whole product of Michael Trigg. But hell of a fun guy to keep tabs on. That's for sure. I don't know if I'd be terrified to have him on the Steelers though. It's just like, never mind that he probably doesn't quite fit what we're looking for. But he's, yeah. Are we done with the Didlows in Pittsburgh? Would we like to think we are done with them now? Like, do we really need?
I don't think you're ever done with Didlows.
That's true.
There's always a new Didlow around the corner, but you can put up with it if they deliver. And
yeah,
I think he's a highlight reel, but is he going to look at the run blocking grades all over the place? Not sure.
Yeah.
Not sure.
Fun one though.
Yeah.
Certainly fun.
Yeah. Right. Do you want to take the next one?
Well, this thing. So you've only got one more guy,
Yeah.
And I'm going to assume it's your red star. So I think, how about you just lead us off with this guy, whoever he may be,
Okay.
and I would imagine
you take it from there.
I'd imagine I've watched whoever it is, but I'm
sure
very
you will.
intrigued now. I'm very
sure you
intrigued.
Okay. Well, in that case, I've realised I've not taken down his school. Oh, yes, of course it is. I'm going to take us to Stanford. Mr. Sam Roush out of Stanford, 6'6", 267. Now, this is exactly what I was looking for. I stopped watching the tape. I needed to find a guy that I liked, and I found him immediately with Roush because he's an all-rounder. And he comes in. Do you remember George Kittle came into the league? And the draft reports on Kittle were he's a good blocker, right? And I think if your tight end comes in with that kind of attitude, but yet you've seen the body control, you've seen that he puts his body on the line for catches, you've seen some nice hands. I like that. I like that from Roush. He's a blocker that can contribute in the pass game. Concern. Very short arms, 1 percentile short arms. But he's a handful. He's still a handful. You see him moving people around in the blocking game. Decent pass protection, not just run blocking, but pass protection. So this is a guy that you can actually get you reps, takes good angles. He knows football. Not the flashiest of dudes, but plays with a nice edge. And while blocking is the strongest part of his game, brings an all-round versatility that means he will stay on the field. And yeah, Sam Roush, red star.
Red star.
What do you think?
I really like him. Really, really like him. Yeah, I think from what I read, I think it was like 5th percentile arms, but he had a 96th percentile vert at the combine, which is, I mean, he's 6'6", so obviously that helps, but man alive. He had a 9.9 relative athletic score. 9.99 relative athletic score out of the combine. He was right up there with Sadiq in terms of athletic performance. Absolutely fantastic. As you say, height and size is great, but yeah, just terrific height with T-Rex arms. Real T-Rex here. But yeah, great blocking upside, hits hard, love that. Fluid mover, as you say. I think he helped his receiving stock at the Senior Bowl. You saw some nice receiving reps there, certainly. So, he showed off a little bit more of that. Gav, this is the rugby guy. This is the guy that has a background in rugby.
There you go.
And I think you saw that on tape as well. I think his fluidity was kind of that of a rugby player. Certainly, yeah, his little jinks and jives in there. As you say, the receiving production, 2 touchdowns to 7 drops in 2025. That's not ideal. The catch radius is obviously kind of limited, even though he's a tremendous athlete. I do think those arm issues can affect his blocking at times. I do think, yeah, some guys can work around that against him. But man, I really, really like what I saw out of him. I think he could be boom or busty a little bit, but I love the upside of it. I'm very interested in him. I'm +1 on him as well. I think you just get somebody who gets the best out of him. He gets on a great team, and I think he's going to be a superb late late draft pick for whoever he lands with. I think he'd make a great Steeler. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm +1 on him as well. I think he's. I tell you what I like about him. I like in his blocking that he gets downfield, he gets his hands on a guy, he widens his base, and he just walls him off, takes him out of the play. And he's big. He's quite big, isn't he? I mean, what's his actual? Hang on, I'm drawing silly things here.
Yeah, I mean, he's 267. Like,
yeah, he's 6'6". Like, this is more what I'm talking about. Like, if Sadiq had this frame, we'd be talking much higher about him. It's just you need this frame. I'm sorry, it's a depressing reality of the NFL. You need your tight end to be this big just to be able to take on people and be a physical threat. That's what he is. He's a tough, mean, physical threat that can give you a little bit of bits and pieces. Perfect. This dude is perfect for the Steelers, I think. Where are we? Yeah, so they could squeeze him in. They'd probably fall to like a comp round and comp pick in the 3rd round or something. Perfect.
Yeah, one of those. Yeah, we've got 3 picks at the back end of that 3rd round currently. I don't know how if we keep. I'm sure we'll keep at least one of them. But I wouldn't mind spending that on Roush.
The thing about Roush, right, is perfect. Kick JJ Galbraith back down to fourth string. Right? You can have Darnell Washington out there and Rouse. You can have Pat Farmer out there and Rouse. I reckon you could just have Rouse out there on certain plays.
Yeah, he's that versatile, certainly, in terms of how you can use him. I think that would work great.
Yeah. So yeah. I'm on board. I'm rooting for him on draft day. But that's it. Yeah. I'm out of tight end. So you better take it away from here.
No worries. Yeah, I'll kind of have a power through of some of the other guys that we looked on here, including my Red Star and my sleeper. Very quickly, I'm just going to talk about some of the guys I didn't get to watch. There were a couple that are kind of higher up in the consensus that I didn't get a chance to look at. Namely, the next few guys I did get to have a look at after Roush, but the first big names, kind of Nate Burkircher out of Texas A&M, I didn't get a chance to look at. Marlon Klein of Michigan, but I am going to talk about Michigan at the end of this. Josh Cuevas, Alabama, Daquan Wright out of Mississippi, Indiana's Riley Nowakowski, and I didn't get to watch the Gillenborg either. John Michael Gillenborg, with the most tight end name in the world, out of Wyoming. But they're kind of late 7th round guys as well. So, I did watch a guy a little bit further down. I need to give a shout out as well to Seydou Traore, who's quite far down on the consensus board out of Mississippi State, but he's English. So there's a homegrown lad to cheer for if he gets into the NFL. So good on you, Seydou. And I also need to mention I only watched a little bit of, but I didn't get to do a full eval on Penn State's Khalil Dinkins, who has had it's not a 30 visit because it doesn't count against 30, but he has had a visit with the Steelers. So I think that's one to note for sure. Definitely more of a blocking tight end is Dinkins, but I didn't have enough analysis to put a proper kind of grade against him. But just thought I'd bring up those guys.
Traore, former goalkeeper after playing association football.
I love it when people call it association football. That makes it sound so good. Right, yeah, let me just kind of go through. So I definitely kind of just want to blast through the next couple of guys because I wasn't as high on guys like Justin Joly out of NC State, 6'3", 241 pounds. I was out of value with him. He missed time in 2025 with a leg injury. It was one of the more more interesting plays of the season, where he limped to a touchdown against Pitt. His leg just basically gave out on him, but he still managed to limp in for the touchdown. It's quite an interesting one. There's a bit to like about Jolie. Only one drop in 2025 is very good. 7 touchdowns, 66% win rate and contested catches, which is really nice. Effective screen blocker. Can work quite well as an additional kind of guy on the line as well. His blocking's pretty decent. Shifty feet, always keeps his eyes on the quarterback as well, moves into space for him, which is really nice. 241. He seemed to have dropped that weight down before the combine. I would like that to probably go back up. He's already not the fastest guy in the world anyway, and not particularly explosive. Apparently he was quite explosive in 2024 and it dropped off a little bit, so that's a little bit concerning. His balance is pretty poor as well. I'm interested, but I am out of value, and I would keep him as a kind of later pick, early day 3 potentially. But I think he's an interesting guy. If he puts a bit more of the weight back on, I think that could actually benefit him. If he's not the most explosive guy anyway, certainly could stand to go back up to I think he was at 260 something. I think I read somewhere before that. So it'd be nice if he's able to put that back on. Justin Jolie out value for him. And then there was Joe Royer out of Cincinnati. Every time I say it, I'm trying not to say Joe Royal for any Everton fans that listen to this. Joe Royer out of Cincinnati. He's an older prospect. He's 24 years of age. 6'5", 255. A lot of injuries. Did play for Ohio State before Cincinnati, but a lot of that was hampered by injuries. Quite a compelling backstory as well. He tragically lost his mother in 2022, which kind of led to him ultimately going back home to Cincinnati. And that kind of rekindled his love for a game. Very interesting interview with him on YouTube about that, a kind of little video about that. The injury history is concerning. Minimal reduction all in. He's a developmental blocker, doesn't show a great deal of strength. But he's definitely open a ton. My God, like he was wide open so much. Like Salisbury was just finding him in complete open space all the time. It was great to see. Nice acceleration. Only 2 drops, both in 2024. So none in 25, which is great. 8.9 yards after catch as well. The production of it was a little bit all over the place, but ultimately that's what it's landed on. So that's really nice. If there was such a thing as 0.5, I would probably give that. As it is, I'm probably going to stick with at value because I don't think there's anything spectacular, but there's quite a lot that's interesting. And if he can stay healthy, I think he becomes quite a nice little pickup late on. So, another at value for Joe Royer and Justin Jolie. And then next on the consensus list is a Georgia Bulldog by the name of Oscar Delp. The senior, 22 years of age, 6'5", 245 pounds. Now, straight off the bat, because I missed doing this with Tom's last pick, Gav, Oscar Delp is Tom's sleeper. Tom says of Delp, this guy shouldn't be a sleeper. He should be talked about more in day 2, but Georgia just underutilized him. But he is a good all-round tight end, great quickness off the line and a really good pass catcher. If I was braver, I would have red-starred him, but if he's available in the 5th round, I would run the card to the podium. Well, you know what, Tom? I'm braver because this guy is my red star.
Red star.
Georgia criminally underutilized this guy. So minimal receiving production, but holy hell, when he is on it, exactly what Tom said, explosive off the line of scrimmage. And he did that with a fracture in his foot. He wasn't able to compete at the combine due to a discovered hairline fracture. that he seemingly had been played on all season. But he's still a superb explosive athlete, great speed, able to burst with agility once receiving the ball as well, sharp feet, fluid. Only 3 drops over his whole college career, but that's probably because he only got 3 targets over his whole college career, or whatever it is. Inconsistent in run blocking situations. Some of it's great, but against Alabama in particular, he felt a little bit washed out in that respect. I think he could probably, he's 245. You could probably stand to put a little bit of weight on. Again, it's that fine balance of you don't want to lose that explosivity and speed by doing that. But to be a true inline blocking threat, I think he's probably going to need to hit a weight room a little bit. But man alive, this is a case where you look at the production and you think, oh well, this guy, what does this guy offer you? This guy offers you so much in athleticism, and it's just criminal that he was not targeted more. Bowers and Urasek as previous teammates, that's probably not going to help. And he's got a good blocking upside to him. The run blocking's inconsistent at times, but overall I think the blocking is really, really solid. And they probably wanted to utilize that more, particularly with that the way Georgia plays. But man, the athlete he is, I absolutely love the potential of Oscar Delp. Sign me the hell up if that fracture isn't too significant. I'm really, really fingers crossed hoping it isn't, because if he's still able to, do what he did with that, and if that can recover, I think he could be a steal, an absolute steal in this draft. If he's going in day 3, then hell yeah, sign me up for that. I think he'd be awesome on the Steelers. I'm a +1 because I still have my concerns about some of the run blocking, and as I say, the foot fracture worries me a tiny little bit, but I'm brave enough to say that he's going to be my red star. I love this guy, and not enough superlatives for me with Oscar Delp. I really didn't think I would come into this liking Delp as much as I was going to, but as soon as I started watching the tape, I was like, oh my god, this guy, when it's on, holy hell, he's superb. Whew. Take it. Just had to take a little breather there.
Calm down.
Yeah, exactly.
I was just saying, was he at the combine?
No, well, this is it. He couldn't. He couldn't do anything at the combine because they discovered the hairline fracture there. Right. So they kind of pulled him out of doing that. So I don't know if he's doing anything at Georgia's pro day. I don't know how that's kind of coming along, hairline fracture wise. But God, I mean, just unbelievable. Maybe they knew about it. Maybe that's why. But I mean, he's not been productive in any of his years. Like it's so strange. His
grades are pretty good. His pass blocking is pretty nice. It's consistent.
There. Yeah. Say pass blocking's really, really consistent. But it's just some of the run blocking that gets a little bit iffy. But this kid's awesome. Like absolutely awesome. I really hope a team, whoever he lands on, uses him a bit better than Georgia did.
Yeah. Potential. Yeah, there's potential there. I mean, you'd like to see, the testing needs to be, just so you get more of an idea about him. You want to see more of the testing. That's a shame.
Especially as, athletically on tape, he looks absolutely fantastic. Fingers crossed that there's nothing too serious there with that fracture. But man, I just needed to give myself a little bit of a breather after talking about Delp because I love this guy so much.
Right, cool. Where are you going next?
Okay, so after that, I'll talk about a couple of guys I'm not very high on. Jack Endries out of Texas, formerly Cal, redshirt junior, 6'4", 236. He did have a very nice showing at the combine, and he did have no drops in 2025, which is good. Effective run blocker, finds creates lanes for people. Short arms, minimal production, lumbering runner, needs to finish blocks better. There's not really a lot to note on Endries. I think he's a safe but unspectacular, semi-all-right player. Probably a good Tampa Bay backup to Max Clare, but not someone I'm majorly interested in. I'm actually a -1. It seems a bit harsh to somebody who's 139 on there, but I'm not particularly bothered by getting Endries. If I'm honest with you, I don't think he offers you a great deal. And 236, that's a worrying kind of, Stowers is only £3 heavier, I guess, but even so, like, the short arms as well. It kind of puts me off a little bit with Endries. There's some upside, but I'm not particularly keen on him. Someone else I'm -1 and not keen on, despite some nice measurables, is Eli Raridan out of Notre Dame. 6'7". Just wanted to separate that out a little bit, so I'm not meme dropping. 252 pounds. Nice height again, and a good combine tester. Physical blocker, gets out into the second level well. Good long strides. Tore the same ACL twice in 2022. That's not good. Very worrying injury history in that respect. Definitely more of a blocker. 3 touchdowns in all 4 years of college, none this past year. So you're definitely more kind of limiting him to his kind of blocking upside. Slow to adjust in his routes that he does make. I think he struggles against contact for a man his size as well. Brought down far too easily for my liking. I just don't think he'll make a significant impact. Athletically, the testing was good. I think that can help, but between the lack of receiving upside and the worry with his ACL, I'm not going to take my chances with Raridan. I don't think I'm going to say -1 on him as well. Just a couple of guys I wasn't particularly high on. Let me just have a quick look and see who else I've got here, because as I say, I've got my sleeper and then somebody else kind of special I want to talk about. It's pretty positive from here on out. Let me talk about 2 guys that I really, really like. Tanner Koziol out of Houston, formerly of Ball State. He's also 6 foot and has 7 inches on top of that. 240 pounds. Decent testing. Again, great height for the position. I had a look at his Ball State tape because I spoke to Tom about this, and he said, if you can with Koziol, watch some Ball State 2024 tape, because he was electric for Ball State. And yes, can confirm he was very, very good for Ball State. Definitely a guy who was, going to transfer because he was much better than where he was playing at that level. And I think he was still highly effective when he moved to Houston as well. 6 touchdowns. Felt he moved up blocks really effectively in the run game. Shifty feet again in his route running. Finds himself open underneath a decent amount. Not always, but a decent amount. Can always see that he really wants the ball every time. You can see that in the way he moves and looks back at the QB. He is the contested catch guy of this class by far. By far the most in both of these. 20 of 27 contested catches this past year, which in this tight end class is by far the most. He uses that height to his full advantage. The routes aren't completely polished. I think he needs to get his head up quicker when he's running them as well. Kind of keeps his head low too much for my liking. Bit of an unproven pass rush blocker. There's a lot of run game stuff going on with Ball State in particular, and then Houston as well. Not as didn't see it as much as you would like, so a little bit unproven in that respect. Not particularly explosive. Struggled to break tackles in 2025. Again, Ball State, really nice number, but once it went to Houston, it was a little bit more of a difficult one for him there. His lower half, it feels like he doesn't protect himself properly, because he took some nasty tackles on the Houston tape, like real tree chopping right at the legs, right at the knees sort of tackles. I'm terrified he's going to have some sort of horrible injury in the NFL if he doesn't, kind of maybe do a bit of leg day stuff for one thing, but just also, kind of protect yourself a little bit better in that respect, because he's just a kind of wild open runner that's just going to, he's going to get his leg twisted if he's not careful by some kind of reckless linebacker. Obviously 27 contested catches. There are inconsistencies of separation in his routes as well. I think he's a kind of red zone menace, like proper end zone target that you can really utilize well. I really, really liked him. I'm a +1 on him. People were calling him our Travis Kelsey. I mean that for Houston, that's a pretty good sign that you're doing something right. So yeah, I Tanakozio as a day 3 guy, absolutely sign me up. I think he's fantastic. So yeah, one of the late guys I like, and another guy who's kind of further down the consensus board, but I'd heard good things about and wanted to watch, was Lake McCree out of USC. That rhymes quite nicely. 6'4", 250. When I first had a look at McCree, I wasn't too sure because he'd had torn ACLs in the past. And some of the early tape I was watching, he was, the blocking wasn't great, and he was kind of ending up on his backside more than you'd like. The arm length's a little bit of an issue, and I was a bit worried about it. But the more tape I watched, the hands were good, the productivity was good, decent yards per gain, and like touchdown numbers this year as well were good. Really explosive off the line, sharp footwork on him, plays bigger than the arm length suggests. So I think he can, really get up there and get the ball nicely. I think his catch radius is kind of underrated in that respect, weirdly. And I think the blocking got better as the Michigan tape. He's a wild man, like very ropey, kind of unpolished blocking there. But some of the rest of it was absolutely fine. The injury red flags aside, I'm really interested in him. As a receiving prospect with a little bit of blocking upside. It needs work, but it's not as unpolished as some of the others in this class. So again, I'm +1 on McCree because he's like 311 on this consensus board. I think he's absolutely draftable. Like, sign me up for getting him as a 7th round guy, 100%.
Arm length is a bit dodge.
It is dodge, yeah. But as I say, I think he plays bigger than that. When you see some of the moves he makes on tape, I think he can account for it. I think he's pretty athletic. So I like him a lot. He's probably, as I say, not going to be anything higher than a 7th rounder, but I wouldn't hate taking that, to be perfectly honest with you. Those were 2 guys that I really like. So final 2 guys I wanted to talk about. First of all, I'm going to talk about my risky sleeper that I have, and I'll kind of get into why it's a risk.
Is this your actual sleeper? Or...
No, this is my actual sleeper, okay. But it's a risky one, and that man is Utah's Dallin Bentley. 6'4", 264 pounds. So you like that weight already. Formerly Utah, and this is probably the first mention of this particular college. He played at Snow. You know where Snow is?
I'll guess Denver.
I'll have to actually look it up because I can't remember off the top of my head.
You carry on.
Yes. So I think it's actually Utah. I think he's quite local, and then obviously transferred over to Utah.
It is Richfield, Utah, home of the Badgers. There's no place like snow. There's no snow there though, so disappointing.
No snow. Yeah.
Man, it looks like if you AI generated stock American town in Midwest movie. That's I'm getting strong vibes of that. It's like every university campus you've ever looked at. Anyway, sorry, carry on. Let's talk about the prospect.
Yes, but so he, as I say, he was there, developed at Snow, and then obviously moved over to Utah in 2023. I absolutely love the energy that comes out of Dallin Bentley. He is a firecracker of a player. 6 touchdowns to 0 drops in 2025. But his blocking is fantastic. He only allowed 1 pressure in 47 blocks allowed. He's got great versatility as a kind of inline or slot guy. Again, another great route runner, another shifty feet guy is deep in this class. Really good eye for spots in zone coverage. Really helps out his QB. He's got a great football IQ, I find. Yeah, just as I say, really impressive with the Shrine Bowl. Just fantastic showing. So why is he risky? Why is he a risky guy? Well, there's a couple of reasons. The injury history is a little sketchy. So hasn't really been injured since 2023. But in high school, he snapped his tibia and his fibia. So that was a concern, obviously. But the big major thing about Dallin Bentley, this year was the only real serious year of production that he had. So the injuries in 23 and a vast majority of blocking snaps in 24 meant that he had very little production. I think you can see it on the screen. Well, if you had the PFF up on for Bentley,
I do.
Yeah,
It's bad.
There is nothing until 2025. This is why it's a bit of a risky sleeper. But man, what he showed in 2025 makes up for that. Like when you're actually getting him involved as a receiving guy, absolutely awesome. Should I pin my hopes on a 1-year wonder with a worrying injury list? Yes, I absolutely should, because I'm really high on the upside of Bentley. He showed that off in a productive, athletic, and most importantly, healthy season this past year at Utah. Yeah, you probably won't take him until day 3, but man, I think he could still be a steal at that. I love what I saw out of 2025 Bentley, and if he can push on and continue in that vein, I think you've got an absolutely awesome tight end to utilize there. He's a +1 for me, and as I say, he's my sleeper, and I just think if he can continue down that path and not get knocked back to what he had been production wise, I think a team can make the absolute most out of him. I understand the risks of of taking him as a sleeper, considering the lack of production before that.
184.
I don't know.
It's a later round one,
Yeah, exactly. And I think you might find that with some of these guys. But yeah, so that the run block, there was a couple of other knocks as well. Like the run blocking is a little bit erratic at times, and I think the West Virginia one in particular was a bit of an erratic game for him, and only 26.7% contested catch rate, which is a bit of a concern as well. I think he's an older prospect, a little older, maybe not too old, but even so, yeah, I just love the prospect of Dallin Bentley. So Bentley was the last true tight end that I watched. But before I go on to my last guy, I just want to go back to Tom for a second here, and because he talked about a deep. So it's not his sleeper, but he's kind of got a deep sleeper-ish kind of player who I didn't get to watch in the end. But I had to mention Miles Kitselman out of Tennessee. Was basically a safety blanket for the QB all season, and just produced and a nice blocker. But as Tom says in his own words, had a shit combine. Really was a bad testing for Miles Kitselman, who I think is 200 something on the consensus board, 286 on the consensus board. So yeah, Miles Kitselman. Just thought I'd give a mention to him. But now I need some special dispensation for this one, Gav, and I hope you will. I hope you'll entertain me on this, and not just entertain me. I hope you'll entertain Tom on this as well. Please allow us both to have a Red Star fullback in this class,
Okay.
because we absolutely need it for this guy. And it came to my attention when Tom was talking about this guy, and holy hell, I watched this guy, and I've absolutely, I'm close to falling in love, Gav. This is what I'll say about it. I think this guy would be an unbelievable stealer. I am talking about Max Breedson of Michigan. He is my fullback and Tom's fullback Red Star.
Red Star.
Now, does that retroactively mean that we have to give Mike the Hunter Lipke fullback Red Star? Maybe, but I'm sure we can do that. This guy is the best blocker in this class. And I think he might be the best non-lineman blocker in the entire draft class. You run the ball behind Bridson no matter what. That's exactly what Michigan did. That is his strong point. He opens up lanes like nobody else. He is strong. He is violent with his hands. He's patient as well. He's not just a guy who'll fling himself in there. He sees the field brilliantly. He's a former QB, and you see that in his game as well. He clearly shows his football IQ through that. He is just absolutely awesome at opening those gaps up for running backs and for his rushing quarterback this past year as well. No sacks in a big pass blocking role as well. So in both sides of his blocking, he is absolutely awesome. Now, he's 6'2", 240 pounds. So he is too undersized to be a true tight end. He's kind of more in that. What was Connor Hayward? Was he about that, or was he a bit tall? I can't remember what his measurables were now. Was he about 6'2"? It feels like he'd be about 6'2",
like
but I'm
shorter.
not.
No, hang on.
Maybe it could even be shorter. Yeah, it certainly feels like it. Maybe it's just because his brother's such a giant. You never quite know what he could be. But yeah, especially in terms of Breedson, he's too undersized to be that true tight end that you want.
Connor Hayward's 5'11".
Wow, Jesus! I thought he was taller than that. So yeah, I mean, Breedson's a giant compared to him, but still probably a bit too small to be a full-on tight end.
You never like it when the comparisons on Mock Draftable are no players you've ever... Oh, David Johnson. Sorry. Yeah, there's a Steelers player there. There's a Steelers player there.
There you go.
Assuming that's the same David Johnson that played for the Steelers at fullback. It must be. So there you go. And he had two stints with the Steelers, I think, and was again one of those fullbacks that was, is he a tight end or is he not? It must be the same guy.
And I don't think this is the thing. I don't think you'll get that with Breedson. I think you know what his role is going to be. You know, he's not amazingly athletic. He's not. He's had receptions, but it's nothing special. Like, you'd probably be using it more as a kind of red zone threat in that respect. Maybe there's the potential he could be less effective at the NFL level, but holy hell, like. I mean, first of all, as well, this guy is Michigan through and through. His brothers both played at Michigan. Like, his brother, one of his brothers, I think it was Mac. No, he's Max. Whoever the other guy. His brother Ben was a captain at Michigan football. I think he played in the NFL as well. Ben Breedson. I think he was at Tampa Bay. And his other brother played baseball for Michigan as well. So that is a Michigan family through and through. He's the younger brother. And he was a walk-on, I think, as well at Michigan, if I remember correctly. Had a foot injury as well in 2025, which is a bit of concern, but he looks to have kind of cleared up from there. If you're looking for a true blue, old-school fullback who will give you 110%, create wide open lanes for your running back, and protect your quarterback, get this guy. Absolutely get this guy. I would... You know, if he's a UDFA, he's your priority UDFA. He's the first guy you call. But I think you should draft him in the 7th to be absolutely sure. He's a wrecking ball of a player that is the stuff of run-heavy offense dreams. You might not get too much more out of him because of that. But I think if you've got plenty of places, plenty of pieces in place elsewhere on your offense, he could be that final cog that pushes you over the edge. Absolutely rooting for him. Love him. Loman Trophy winner, which I believe is the fullback trophy. Former national champion, obviously, in 2023. Third team All Big Ten in 2025. I'm actually audibling. I'm +2 on him. I love him that much. I did initially have +1, but I've taught myself into a +2 with him. I think he's vital piece, especially now, Connor Hayward's out of the room. If we want a true pedigree fullback to work with this offense, please God, this guy opening lanes for Jaylen Warren would be insane, and I would much prefer that to him opening lanes for Derrick Henry on the Ravens now that Pat Ricard is gone.
The Ravens have lost Ricard. Maybe it's time we had a good fullback. We'll take
exactly.
Yeah,
and that is exactly what you want to get. I adore this guy. I think he's absolutely incredible. I would be pounding the table for him in the 7th round. 100%.
Like a grown-ass man. He looks like Woody Harrelson or something.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, there is a brilliant. There's a full feature video on him on YouTube of kind of his story, and that's fantastic to watch as well. But yeah, you just watch the tape, and just the amount of times he's just opening lanes for people is just so good, and against really good teams as well. Ohio State, he was doing really well. Just a absolutely all out awesome player who. Michigan, I think a lot of people were saying he might have been Michigan's best offensive player last year. Like that's how good of a player he has been.
Not much of a receiver, but I guess you don't.
No, exactly.
You don't worry about
That's
that
the
out
thing.
of your fullback.
That's the thing. Like, yeah, if you're going to use him as a true blue fullback, it's not. It's the production level that in that respect is not going to be what you're going to concern yourself with. It's just going to be pure.
No. I mean,
your
pure
physicality.
You want him to catch a couple of passes a year.
Exactly, and maybe run one in like as a gadget in the red zone. But other than that, you are using him to push dudes out of the way. Like he is. I don't care if he's 240 pounds. He's going to move guys much bigger than him out of the way because he's just so much of a powerful hitter, and just has a real good football IQ as well. I think he knows exactly what he's doing with it all, where to move guys, the patience. Yeah, all of it is just an absolutely incredible package. He's going to be one of my favourite players to root for in this whole thing.
Fair enough. So someone to look for, yeah. Maybe where'd you take him? Hang on, where is he on the big board? He's down at 270. 270 divided by 30. I'm never good at this. Where are we? Is that day 5? Is that sixth round?
I mean, I would, personally, I would take him.
Seventh in that round. Hang on, let me work this out.
Would I go as high as the 6th? I probably would, to be honest with you. I don't think teams will, but I probably would. I've +2'd the guy. I think I definitely would take a flyer on that. But I could absolutely understand him falling to the 7th. I could probably understand him being a UDFA, but again, I just think he's too good to pass up.
Is there another fullback in the mix, or is he it? Because he's listed here as a running back.
I think there's one. There's one other guy that's an intriguing potential fullback-ish sort of guy, but he's more in the kind of receiving running back sort of mold, which is Navy's Eli Heidenreich, and I was going to kind of talk about him. Yeah, he's kind of a versatile, could be a fullback sort, but maybe more of a receiver running back sort of guy. So I think true blue fullbacks, as far as I'm aware, it's Breedson, and then I don't know if there is particularly anybody else who's like a true blue fullback in this class.
Right, fair dues. Nice. That's a good one. That's a good one to highlight. Not this Napoleon Dynamite mofo. Nice. Good
cool.
Work. Anyone else, or is that it?
No, that's it. That's everyone. So we actually managed to get a good time out of that. Blimey.
We've just hit the 3-hour mark. Maybe it's time to say
absolutely. Yeah. So thank you for entertaining me on that. It was
pleasure.
a different one for sure. But I'll go and rest my voice now. Thanks very much everybody for having a listen. As always, follow us on Twitter at UK Steelers Podcast, at UK Steelers Pod, I should say. Follow myself at Mesh NFL. Follow Gav at GM Boom Op. I think we're doing running backs next week, but I'm not sure. We will talk about it in the chat. It might be something different. I don't know. But until then, we'll see you next week for some more draft coverage.
See you later, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
Go Steelers.
Go Steelers.